With its strong industry interface and academic excellence, the Institute has nurtured leaders who drive innovation and sets benchmarks in global business. And IIFT promises to carry this legacy forward by preparing future leaders to shape India's business landscape at the world stage. In this spirit, the CHRO Roundtable brings together senior HR leaders from across industries to share insights and perspectives. This year's theme, Empowering the Future Workforce, AI, Evolving Skills and HR Expectations in a Dynamic Environment.
We would also like to welcome Dr. K. Rangarajan sir and Dr. Swaika Banerjee to the stage.
At RP Sanjay Goenka Group, Mr. Sahu drives the group's HR strategy, leadership development, and organization design initiatives across multiple business verticals, fostering a culture of agility, inclusivity, and high performance. In talent management, performance systems, and organizational effectiveness, earning him recognition as a thought leader in HR strategy and change management. Thank you, sir, for joining us today.
Okay, very good morning to all of you. Our Vice Chancellor, Professor Rakesh Mohan Joshi, Center Head Kolkata, Professor K. Rangarajan, Mr. Ajay Kumar Sahu, Group HR Head, RPG Group, my faculty colleagues from Delhi, Kolkata, PLESCOM members from all 4 campuses, staff of IIFT Kolkata, my dear students. A warm welcome to all of you for this CHRO Roundtable or CHRO Conclave. As you know, IIFT started its journey in 1963. Actually, when we started IIFT, major objective was IIFT to train ITAs or IFS officers on global nuances. And we are basically the think tank of Ministry of Commerce. Then IIFT shifted into management training that particular field, and our MBA course is a very sought after course as it is specialized in MBA in international business. IIFT follows one IIFT multiple campus philosophy or the proposition. IIFT Delhi was started in 1963, and 2006 we started IIFT Kolkata campus. After that we got IIFT Kakinada, and very recently we started another campus at GIFT City, IIFT GIFT City campus. So as of now there are 4 campuses in India. Very shortly we are going to start IIFT Dubai campus also. So as we are or we follow one IIFT multiple campus philosophy. So our everything is one, that is starting from our vision, mission, policies, statute, everything that is one. So you can see we follow same philosophy, same pedagogy, same selection procedures, all kind of thing. So I request all of our corporate partners, those who are present here, so to respect and support our that philosophy, one IIFT, multiple campuses. Whatever form of engagement they are looking from us, they should support our that initiative, because it's a very unique kind of initiative that we normally do in industry. That is one IIFT, multiple campuses. All our students from all 4 campuses are equally competent to take corporate challenges, and we train them to get accustomed with whatever new changes that are happening and when they are going to join industry, what they are going to face. In line of that, today's CHRO Conclave is one attempt to train them on one burning topic, that is AI. As you know, AI is everywhere. So we actually not very clear as an individual also what AI is going to give us. And when the students are going to join corporate in a year or 2, they have to face those challenges, and today whole day they are going to understand how AI is going to help human resource, what type of skill and competency they are going to or they are supposed to develop, whether AI is going to be a substitute kind of thing of their skill, whether artificial intelligence is going to change human intelligence or not. Because if you really see our normal life, if you like to make yourself physically fit, you have to do regular workout kind of thing. Similarly, if your brain has to be fit, the brain should work out, that we normally call brain gym. But we are told that this AI is normally makes our brain lethargic. Because on everything you have one AI support at the left right hand side of your computer screen. So we are told that the new human resource, those who are joining industry, they are lacking on innovative analytical skill. The so-called out-of-box thinking is not coming because their thought process is not that way challenged, because every time there is someone to help them out. Okay, so it may so happen that we are going to get a clone kind of human resource as a young human resource in coming days. So we have illustrious panelists, then keynote speakers. They all are seasoned HR personnel. They are facing those challenges. They are seeing those challenges. They know how to make you ready for them. So today, through our panel discussion, through our keynote speakers, through our spotlight speakers, we are going to understand, and it's basically for you. Your takeaway should be that post this session, you should know very clearly the areas you need to go for a further development, so that next year when you are going to join industry as a full-time job or a summer internship, the industry should get you ready to challenge those AI related activities. So I welcome you all for this, and I am sure that throughout the day we are going to get a very enriching kind of experience, getting insights from our thought leaders from industry. So thank you very much. Formal welcome to all of you.
A very good morning to all of you. Sabko namaskar. Dais pe विराजमान श्री साहू जी, my colleague Dr. Saikat, and the people from the industry leaders in HR, my faculty colleagues, dear students. But today we are here more to hear, because see, as teachers or trainers in a B school, we go by some of the happenings around us, and especially in the context of IIFT, which is involved not only in teaching and training but also high-end research, etc. We come and bring things to the classrooms the way in which we perceive the world. What is required, the people who are sitting here are the ones who face the brunt of it. Because see, suppose if they recruit someone and if the person is not up to the mark, गाली तो हमको पड़ता है पहले, कोई पता नहीं किसने पढ़ाया है इसको. All right, so that is how this becomes an essential. I would say that today is an essential kind of activity for us in every institution. It should happen. Most often, we bring in lot of flair in finance and marketing and other places, but the base, which is the human resource, we need to know what is being expected, especially the current context. It is becoming more and more imperative on our part to understand what kind of skills are required. Because what I see from a challenge for an HR professional, though earlier we used to say that we look at intelligent quotient, how well they are going to be adaptable, the team spirit, etc. Everything we used to clearly assess and pick up the human resource. But in the past couple of years, what is happening, whatever may be the reason, is it because of the digital revolution, the information technology revolution, things have changed? Or is it because of a sudden growth which was started happening in bigger countries, bigger economies like India, China, etc., which is now changing the lives of the way in which the human beings are now adapting themselves, their family, the way in which they live, their work, their personal life, etc. Or it is because of the corona which has happened. Has it changed the way of life? Whatever it is, the reality is there is a huge kind of, what I see based on my experiences, a huge impatience among the youngsters. There is lack of clarity on what is to be achieved, what is not to be achieved. Gone are those days wherein we used to strive and then get to certain positions. Just to be very clear. And we used to have our own personal time and play time, etc. But nowadays everything is gone. Everyone is running after. Probably I think it is more peaceful in the day in the campus rather than in the midnight. In the midnight people need to come and watch. The whole campus will be a bus. Everyone is running around here and there. There are food which is coming. People are taking food at 2 o'clock, hot pizzas. And on the other side we say, no, there should be serenity in living and this is how you should live and what morals should be there. Everything is fine, but what is happening in practice? Why this kind of an impatience? I am looking at from an HR person. What is going to be the trade-off when you are looking at the set of skills which you are now going to recruit? Because there is a lot of talk about employability quotient. It is coming down. So all institutions are more giving preferences. No, we have to make you employable more. When I look at from an organization and its HR, employability quotient is fine. It is fine, but where is the loyalty quotient? To what extent the human resource, the skills which are there, which is being taken with almost all the kind of time you spend on them and identify the right kind of manpower. But to your surprise, you find the person leaves. The longevity of the youngsters who are there in an organization continuously is now reducing. Maybe, I may be wrong, it is my this thing. What I see because of our own alumni also I see, where are you working? Now I am with Sriram, and now where are you? Now I am with ICICI. What has happened now? I am with HDFC VP. And this is within a span of 6 years, 8 years. Gone are those days wherein we used to see, he is retired from telco. There has to be a house wherein it may be written, Mr. So-and-so Sharma, retired telco. Mr. So-and-so, retired from ITC. That loyalty is gone. The day when you recruit a person, the person is using the same PC of the organization and start using is posting his CVs to the other places. It's a challenge. I'm not blaming on the students because the kind of impatience what has settled in, they wanted to. Recently I was looking into a survey, the global survey which McKinsey conducts. Out of the 9 factors, the last factor which has been rated as least important for the executives while changing their job is job security. I was surprised. See, generally we used to give more importance to job security. And this is what is happening. But look at the firm. You are being taken because they wanted to discharge their economic responsibility as a firm. How will the firm be able to discharge that economic responsibility if the human resource and the longevity of that human resource for the productive contribution to the organization is at stake? I don't know how the current HR professionals, and here I'm seeing a lot of people who are day in and day out deal with these kind of people. Adding to that is, because we are giving more importance to the employability quotient, the Indian typical classroom is more and more interested in versatility in every aspect. Oh, supply chain? Yeah, I do. Equity financing? Yeah, I do. You know sustainability? Yes, I know. Most of the things they are, because they are trying to grab as much as knowledge as possible and make them more and more skilled so that the organization, when it comes, they may be able to see that, okay, this guy is more employable. And what I see is, in the long run, If I am more employable, that means my market value is high. My market value is high, that means my stay in the organization will be limited. Because I have good market value. That loyalty part, no, the organization has given me an opportunity for which I should be able to repay that organization. Sometimes I need to stay with this and then give it back. That we do in the classroom, we do a lot of things. I see a lot of mid-career and late mid-career corporate professionals who come back to me and call and then say, sir, I want to give it back to the institution, so can I come back to the institution and give lectures and share my experiences, etc. Good. But you have reached the glass ceiling so fast. So you are interested in diverting yourself from the corporate rigor. You feel that the other side is more greener, so that you may be able to get into that. That is another issue which I think has to be addressed, because I am not looking at from only an educational institution which is imparting international business education. I am also looking at what is good for the business domain, for the organization, for the students, for people who are managing these kind of things, and for we people also as trainers and teachers. What we are supposed to do, what we should not do. So probably this round table is giving us an opportunity to discuss all these kind of things which are happening. The certainty with which you used to have a manpower planning and a 5-year goal and I don't know. See, I am a faculty in strategy. We used to talk about 5-year strategic plan and 10-year strategic plan, etc. Now everything is gone for a 6. We say, oh no, see, let us go for only 1 year, huh? 1 year. Huh? The first quarter, let us see, and then we will revisit. Because the landscape is having so many changes. There are two important things what I look at when it comes to a B school. One is AI is dominating. To what extent it is going to replace the manpower which is required in an organization. On the other side, another buzzword also started happening, that is the sustainability part. Like AI has gone into every business function. So you talk about analytics, financial analytics, HR analytics, and then everywhere you have analytics. The same has also gone into sustainable HR, sustainable marketing, sustainable finance, and everything is now getting into that sustainability part also. Whether it is going to stay, what are the things which I need to know? Because of the digital revolution, everything is available at a click of a mouse. How much I need to grab and how much I need to learn and digest also. That is also going to be very important. So probably this round table is going to be a unique kind of a round table, and which has given us an opportunity to thrash some of these issues and try to listen from the practitioners as to what is their take on this, how they are looking into. Because I know the first and foremost priority now for a HR professional at the top level is you are going to have the generational gaps within the workplace. A person like me, a person from 90s, and these youngsters who always carry 3 gadgets, 2 gadgets. It's only measured by the gadgets. If you have 3-4 gadgets, then that means you are a Gen Z. If you have only 2, okay, you may be 90s. If you have nothing, like me, you are gone case. But everyone is there in the organization. For a HR, they are going to look at this. See, I don't know how, but the only satisfaction for me is probably when this chaos will happen in an organization, I'll be out of my work life. So that is only satisfaction. Okay, now you retire and just witness. That is what is going to happen probably. Anyhow, I'm really thankful to all the people who have agreed, and that too on a Sunday. Definitely when we are conducting, in fact, IIFT Calcutta and IIFT other campuses also, though we are Sarkari, but we work like a private sector only, 24/7. So on a Sunday, you people have agreed to come and deliberate on this. I'm really thankful, and I'm also, I should compliment Dr. Saikat and Mr. Bunty for taking this forward, and within us has already given you the brief. We also try to bring in for lateral movement in all of you, and also I wish all the success for this roundtable, and I hope we'll be coming out with certain points which will be definitely helping IIFT to chart its future course of action. With this, once again, thank you and Jai Hind.
Very good morning to all of you. Dr. Rangarajan, Dr. Banerjee, the esteemed members of panelists who are present here, members of IIFT family, and all the delegates and dignitaries who are present here. It's a real privilege and honor for me to be here today, speaking to you about a very contemporary topic, which is the impact of AI on the workforce, how the automation is impacting the workforce. And to start with, when I got a message from Bunty a couple of weeks back to be here, the first thing I did was I asked the ChatGPT, what is the topic and what are the possible areas. So this is the starting point today. I have been a HR professional, practicing HR professional for more than 3 decades now. And it has always been, I mean, whether it was 3 decades back or whether it is now, the topic is what is the changing role of HR in the current context. It was there 30 years back also, it was there 10 years back, 20 years back, and even now. So what it says is that the context is changing every time. Say, whether we talk about all the stakeholders, that is the work, the workplace and the workforce, the context is very, very dynamic every time. So even if we talk about it, say 1 year from now or 2 years from now, there would be a different context for HR. So that's the starting point. Today, in fact, when we talk about the AI, artificial intelligence, the shaping of workplace or the workforce has been changing in a very, very unprecedented way. That's because of whether we talk about the generative AI or we talk about predictive analytics or demographic changes or any kind of change in the employees' expectations. Because the Gen Z or the current entrants to the workforce is your Gen Alpha. The expectation of Gen Alpha is very, very different even from Gen Z. So the context is changing and HR has a very, very different role to play every time. Gone are those days where HR used to be more process-oriented function. Now it's no longer a process-oriented function, but it is more of how to reshape the workforce expectations, how HR can be an architect of the changing landscape. The key challenge today before HR, I'm sure there will be a lot of deliberation over the days, throughout the day today. One of the challenge today before the HR is how do we balance between the human potential and the technological acceleration. The way the technology is changing and the way the human potential is reshaping, how do we balance both of them? That becomes the key starting point today. In the age of AI, how is it impacting the workforce today? The generative AI, the analytics, everything is redefining the job. They are redefining the roles, the performance metrics for the different organization. And well, even though we talk about AI is replacing everything or AI is likely to replace, it's not that. AI is actually augmenting the human capability. It's not going to replace the human capability. It will rather facilitate, augment, or enhance the human potential going forward. So it is going to be an effective combination of human and machine collaboration. How effectively both human potential and machine will collaborate with each other. How is it impacting on the workplace? Most of us will agree that we have the routine work processes under HR are getting automated. Whether you talk about, the joining formalities of an employee, the interview process, many of these things are getting automated. So the routine things are getting automated. And we are focusing more and more on things like creativity, the analytics, data insights, complex problem solving. These are becoming the key skills which are going to be useful going forward. The AI-driven insights are enabling more on the personalized learning. How do we do the talent prediction? If we are hiring a talent today, how are we predicting the talent for future? And how do we do the workforce planning? So the focus is more on these things because of the AI. And of course, everything has to happen with the ethical way of handling the artificial intelligence as far as the use of data and the HR mandates are concerned. On the evolving landscape of the skills which are required today, the shifting is happening more from the technical to the power skills. The technical skills are going to be given going forward. There's no, you can't survive without the technical skills. Whether you are a student or you are a working professional or you are an entrepreneur, you will not be able to survive without the technical skills. That is given. But the shift is happening more towards how digital literacy you are, how you are adaptable to the change, what is your critical thinking abilities, your data interpretation, and how do you respond to the emotionally intelligent situations when you are working anywhere. The emotional intelligence is going to be more and more critical for being able to succeed in the workplace. We used to, couple of years back or even a decade back, the training used to be measured by way of how many training mandates we did in the workplace. But today, the training is not about just, it's not an event. It's not a training on a particular subject. The focus of training is more on skilling and reskilling the workforce, and it is becoming more and more towards developing capabilities or building capabilities which are sustainable for future. And the learning is more towards human-centric skills, because other skills are given. And learning is going to be lifelong. You can't say that, okay, now once I start my career, I don't need to learn anything. If we go by the World Economic Forum report, 50 to 60% of the skills today which are there are going to be outdated within the next couple of years' time. So everyone has to be skilling or reskilling himself or herself to be able to succeed. As far as the leadership skills are concerned, the focus is more on the today's leader. They should be more tech curious. Well, like Dr. Rangarajan was saying that he doesn't have in his generation, he may not have a single gadget. That's not the point. The point is that whether you are curious about the technological change which is happening around you or not. That's the skill which is going to be more useful. Agility, the leadership agility is a critical aspect. I'm sure we have a topic for discussion in the day-to-day on leadership agility. That means if you are not responding to the change at the right time, at the right place, you will not be able to lead further. So the leadership agility, the emotional intelligence are going to be the leadership capabilities which will be very, very useful in future. The the teams which are going to be the part of the workforce, they are more informed about the AI. So from the HR perspective, how are we going to lead a team or lead multiple teams which are more informed about the changes which are happening around? They are more informed about the artificial intelligence in terms of uses, and how do we lead those kind of teams in terms of being transparent, in terms of being, say, meeting their trust, and how we are going to manage those kind of teams is going to be a major concern for HR. So a couple of changes which are happening from in the HR perspective. One is, as I mentioned, we are moving more from a process driven to a insights driven. Today we are not focusing more on what kind of policies what we are going to have, but we are more concerned about how can we focus on employee experience, right from, say, acquiring a talent till, say, exit of a talent. What kind of employee experience we need to provide in the organization? The focus is more on that. The hiring is becoming more and more focused on use of digital. For example, say in RPSG group, we do have management institutes. We have 3 management institutes. So every time for the admission, we interview about 15,000 students. So if you interview 15,000 candidates, it will take 2 to 3 months. So the first level of interview happens actually through a bot. I mean, the human say interview happens only for 2,000 to 2,500 candidates. So that's the kind of changes which are happening now, and there is no moving away from that. We'll have to say adapt more and more towards that. When it comes to with the change, it's also very important to redefine our talent strategy. So the talent strategy in terms of, say today, I'm sure the members seated here will agree with me that invariably 60-70% of the interviews which we do, one question comes that do you follow a hybrid work model? Is it work from home? Is it work from office? So that is the expectation of Gen Z, Gen Alpha today. So how can we design a talent strategy which will include more of hybrid work, or how do we balance the flexibility with the culture of the organization? How about curating more of people experience rather than formulating administrative policies? How can we focus more on the potential rather than the educational or the pedigree or anything else? How can we identify the human potential rather than the education and pedigree? Today, when we look at the entire context, I'm not sure what is going to happen maybe another 3 years or 5 years from now, but in the today's context, it is going to be more of the HR to lead the dialogue between the human potential and digital transformation. So we have to come up with the ways of working which will have a coexistence of human as well as machine. And how do we create the culture wherein every individual will thrive? While there is AI, there is machine, there is technology, but at the end of the day, it is the human who will drive the technology. So empowering people not just to survive the AI-driven change, but how do we shape it? That is going to be the key point for HR. I have a couple of questions. I mean, the HR experts will be deliberating today through the day. So there are a few questions which I thought I will leave here. We must try to find answers to this question in our deliberation today. The first one is, how are we framing the future? And we as HR professionals, and we have the evolving workforce in front of us, evolving technology. So how do we shape the framing of the future? So when I talk about framing the future workforce, how about how can we define the shared responsibilities and agency in the changing environment? The second question which comes to my mind is how will we define the collaboration of human capability and machine? What would be required from HR so that there is a effective collaboration between human and machine? So we must think about the ethical artificial intelligence and its operational integration into the workforce, so that whatever we do, it has to be in a ethical manner. The third question comes to my mind is that we as HR professionals have to think seriously about how will we ensure in the organization the responsible use of technology, because technology is open-ended. What is more important is how we can ensure the effective use of technology for the benefit of the organization. Whether, for example, if we are using technology in performance management or say learning and development. So how can we use the technology so that we are more transparent, and how it can be bias free, and how HR can play an important role in bringing that in the picture. The fourth question is what should we do to redefine the future skills? What are the requirements of future skills so that because today what is happening is the technology is learning faster than the human beings. You put any question, say, 5 years back, if we have to prepare a PPT on a topic, it would require 2 hours. Today you ask Perplexity or ChatGPT or any generative AI platform, they will give you in seconds. So the technology thinking is faster than the human thinking. So how do we define the future skills in this context? How do we build in learning agility? So learning is going to be a continuous process. How do we enable the workforce so that they reinvent themselves continuously? What should be the new leadership agenda? Because the leadership agenda 5 years back or 10 years back and today is entirely different. 2 years from now it is going to be more different. So what are the, how can we create leaders who will be technologically more advanced, at the same time they are also emotionally intelligent, because you need the combination of both these requirements in a leader. How do we see the HR transforming for future? Because what we are looking at today from an HR perspective would be very different in future, say a couple of years from now. So how do we define the transformation of HR? Is it going to be a process-driven function, or is it going to be a more of data-driven insight, strategic foresight of the human empathy? How do we build those capabilities within HR? The eighth question is, how about the employee experience and empowerment? In the HR, in the AI-driven world, do we focus more on autonomy of the employees, or we focus more on greater personalization to the employees, or we focus on deeper purpose of the organization and the individual? So we need to have a serious thought about it. The ninth question is about how do we build the right kind of culture and trust with the changing environment, which is going to be more and more transformational, more and more rapid. What kind of culture the HR is going to build for the future organization? And the last question, which I thought I will leave here for the panelists, is when we look back 10 years from now, will we see HR to be recommended as a function that adapted to technology, or the one which it humanized it? Are we going to create HR as a function which is more, adapted to technology, or which is more focused on the human side? That's the question probably we need to find answer to. And I'm sure the topics which are going to be deliberated today is going to be very, very critical, not only from the point of view of the workplace or the organization, but at the same time for the workforce, those who are already there, those who will be coming into the workforce, and how the entire thing has to be visualized for future. That is going to be a key context for the HR to function. Thank you once again, and I wish all the best for the rest of the days.
He is widely recognized for enabling workforce adoption of digital transformation journeys and building future-ready organizations through digital HR, agile frameworks and design thinking. With over 2 decades of global experience, Mr. Prasad has steered transformation across Fortune 100 companies in the US, Europe, APAC and India. Prior to his current role at Reliance, he served as the Global Head, Digital Transformation and Learning at ITC Infotech, Assistant Vice President Digital Transformation and Corporate HR at Lafarge Holcim. Also pleased to welcome Mr. Ranjan Banerjee, Group Head Human Resources at Berger Paints India. He has led Berger Group's HR agenda from the Kolkata headquarters. Across nearly 3 decades, his leadership includes roles such as CHRO at Epsilon Carbon, Senior Vice President HR and IR at Aditya Birla Group, Senior Vice President HR at India Power, CHRO at
Kumar's career spanning over 28 years, covering the entire spectrum of human resource management, from shop floor operations to entire enterprise level strategic leadership across diverse industries and geographies in highly competitive business environments both in India and abroad. She then took on a role at Azure Networks, and in 2008 she joined the IBO Group, which turned out to be a very formative stage of her career. Over more than a decade here, she rose to become Senior Director of HR. From her earlier roles to her current leadership positions, she has demonstrated a strong capacity for driving people strategy, talent management and culture change initiatives. Ms. Asha, it is an honor to host you at IIFT Kolkata, and we look forward to gaining.
He effectively bridges academic thought with real-world applications. We are delighted to have him to moderate this discussion on the intersection of AI and talent transformation. Sir, all over you. All over to you.
A fantastic morning to all of you. Is the problem solved now? Yes. Okay. So usually, as I was saying, I ask this simple question whenever I initiate my session, that how are you guys doing? But today I think I don't need that question, isn't it? Because all the pumped up faces that I see in the audience, it just tells me that we are simply looking forward to this session. And why not? The topic of the session is so intriguing, right? AI, which is everywhere, right? Just a couple of years ago, we were looking at AI simply as a buzzword in our LinkedIn feed, right? But simply today we cannot live without it. We love it, we hate it, we are afraid of it, but there is something about it that we cannot ignore. So let me start this panel. So at the first, I would like to request Dr. Prasad to share his experiences about this crazy world of AI and HR.
So good morning. So he was just checking, your presence, not physical, but whether you are, mentally and spiritually present in the room or not. So I think it's one of the, I can say, very prominent topic which we have selected. And of course, when you talk of any technology, there is a very important component is the, the human being, because technology you can go, you can grow, you can expand and all. But the human mind is very, core to it. And being a part of this particular roundtable, I think CHRO are the custodian basically to drive this kind of a culture in the organization. So currently I can say AI in action, agree or not agree? So when we say AI in action, so you talk of anything which is in Wall Street to the Park Street, everywhere is AI. And we are all, whether we want or not, it's going to push our boundaries. When we say boundaries, it is going to bring lot of digital infusion in your day-to-day activity. And I can give you some of the examples, how this AI has become a Kamdhenu for all of us. So Kamdhenu, it's a divine cow, which fulfill all your wishes. But if you see in the organizations, the way the landscape is changing, and why we are here, we just wanted to share, some of our credentials, how we are driving AI into our organization, and how it is going to, impact you. Because anyway, from campus to corporate is not very far off for you. So your readiness is going to, define that how you are going to grab this particular world, which is basically from this campus to getting in the corporate, and what are those critical skills, which is being not only a talk of corporate talk or the talk of the boardroom, but it has become a more important component of all the boardrooms. So AI, I feel, everybody is using, and AI is available with you 24/7 on your fingertips. Right or wrong? Yes, sir. It is available, and it is, gone are the days when we are talking about the invention of, say, the engine. Gone are the days when we started, talking about the internet. Gone are the days when we are talking about the smartphone. Now everybody is talking about the AI, which is going to bring a big disruptions. And I can give you some numbers also. If I was just reading one particular research, and the finding says that the potential of AI going forward will be 4.4 trillion. That is USD I am talking of, US dollars. And currently, talk of any of the organizations, 92% of their focus are going already on the AI. So how to bring the AI, and a lot of the people are saying, okay, AI is going to replace a lot of the jobs and all. And I think we agree to disagree that yes, it's going to take our job also. But if you see by 2030, the number of the jobs which are going to go away, all the repetitive jobs, we have already started seeing, if you go to the office and all, there is a data entry people, there is, the receptionist, all gone. Nothing is required there. So, of course, around 92 million job will go off, but within, I think, coming 7 years, they are also going to generate around 170, million jobs. So that's the story, because I still remember, when I was working with the government of India, and I came to Calcutta for, some kind of a transformational program, and I can name it also, that's a Ministry of Corporate Affairs in 21st century. And when I met with the regional director and also the registrar of companies, there are a lot of shout was, which was related with ki ye nahi hoga, wo nahi hoga, computerization hoga, the job will go off and all. Lot of, the things were there, but you just see, currently if you see the matured version of the MCA 21, that is the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, earlier 2200 people were driving this particular initiative. Now it is done by only 600, managing almost 6.5 lakhs companies across India, pan-India I'm talking of. And now you can do the registration of company by sitting anywhere in the world. You can file your the annual report by sitting anywhere from the world. No need of any physical presence of board of directors. So why I'm giving those examples, because these are very important examples how the landscape of the technology is changing, and how this AI is also going to augment this particular thing. We have also started thinking aloud, and being a part of one of the biggest conglomerate in India. We are going to be India's first data center, which is going to handle not in terabyte and all, it's going to handle the tetrabyte kind of things, and we already started establishing the infrastructure for that. My company, which is more into I think technology part, oil and gas and all, but if I talk of the AI, particularly in the finance, which is more prevalent. So we have taken, very recently we have taken two major initiatives. And why I'm saying this, because it's not only the MBA student, those who needs to grab the AI, but it is also important for the corporate people also to upskill and reskill, and get themselves up to ready for anything which is coming, so for the AI is concerned. So we have started two initiatives. One initiative, we ask all the business leaders in the organizations, can you come up, some of the use case where you feel that AI can, bring a lot of values on that. Because, when you give the ownership to the leaders, they will start thinking, ye kar sakte hain ki nahi kar sakte hain, whether it is possible or not. So they started thinking and all. And I think within a month, we got almost 100 use cases. And I will tell you, all the 100 use cases were majorly from, I can say, the finance tribe. Then what we did, we have, segregated, we had a lot of, the brainstorming sessions with the leaders, and we selected only 25, which is a case where the impact will be very high across the business. And now currently we are, getting into a upskilling and reskilling part where every leaders and every employees has to go for some kind of a courses on the name of digital dexterity, again focusing on AI, that you have to complete these particular courses and you have to conduct one sessions. And that sessions will be basically, for all the employees, how the AI is going to bring a lot of things. Because if you see the AI, I think generative AI, as I am saying, it is now going reducing because people are still, they are not very comfortable on doing the prompt engineering. Abhi ye mail likhne ka hai, usko aap upload kar do, then they will, come with some new version. Again, you give a prompt and all. Now this is the era, where we have started talking about agentic AI. We started talking about the cloud AI. We started talking about the quantum AI and all. And I will also explain, when you talk of the agentic and all, it's nothing. It's a digital worker who can solve your problem, complex to complex problem, based on only two things. One is, of course, the machine learning and the deep learning. And then again, the next layer is related to algorithm and the AI part. And they are basically, coming with not only defining the workflow. For example, I go to the, say, any retail shops and all, and I do have a laundry list of the products, which I wanted to buy it. You simply just upload on the app. That app will go and they will, they will search what is the best product which is available with the best quality and the best, the price. And they will come with the recommendation. Now these are the, the products, and this is the price of the product. I have done all kind of the comparative study. Now the only thing which you have to do is just pay and go back. The product which you are buying, that will be delivered to your home. So now AI is now become a very complementary and supplementary, and it's become a part and parcel of your life. So high tech is also required when you talk of the high touch. So high touch is also there, and I will take, later on, when we talk of the talent strategies, when you talk of the HR, how the HR is also getting impacted only because of the AI. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Prasad. It was really insightful to learn from his experiences also that what he is observing and has to say about the AI and the HR landscape.
Yeah, thank you. And good morning, everybody. Yes. See, the way I look at it is as follows. The way the socio-economic political environment is getting disrupted on a rapid scale almost every passing week. As also, this is the first factor, and the second factor is the kind of consumer preferences and consumer expectations that are rising and getting stiffer. The standards of expectation from products and services organizations is rising. Taking these two factors together, AI is but inevitable. It's a tool which has to be leveraged so that you can respond to fast changes equally fast. So that's the first takeaway. The second, we were going through a couple of research articles on this topic, and how does the world of work get impacted by AI? You see, its research says that in 66% of the jobs, 1 out of every 3 tasks is going to get automated, not full jobs. Right? And by 2030, around 35 million digital jobs would have got created. Taking this, while holding this fact, you look at the other fact, technical ingenuity and progress is shaping our lives. lives are getting longer, society will start aging, but available talent will be there. People will move in and out of retirement, so long as they can stay relevant. Now, taking all of this into account, how fluent you are in terms of data and AI is going to make the cut. How are you going to be assessed in the world of work? Learning velocity is what is going to impact us. How quickly you learn and how quickly you adapt. How does HR as a function, as a profession change? In a fast changing world, change is going to become a day in and day out thing. You have a strategy and a business plan today, you might find that next week that has become irrelevant. Having said that, how does the HR function and the HR leaders enable and guide the leaders of the business to navigate this change process? How do you prepare the organization to carry out or navigate through this rapid change which is impacting an organization like an avalanche? What are the psychological constructs that need to be brought to play? And basis those constructs, what kind of advice and coaching are you going to do for the leaders of the business is what's going to be the role of HR. That's how I see the role of HR transitioning. If you look at, Professor Banerjee was saying that what will happen to, would you have a clone or a chatbot HR manager? Well, if you want to limit HR, or if we want to limit HR to just onboarding and process improvements and onboarding to retirement and exit, then you can put a clone and a chatbot and that will take care of everything else. But if you want to help the organization navigate this tricky process of change, which is going to come in every week, every fortnight, every quarter you will be punished with a new set of changes that is going to impact the economy. Right? And the socio-political stage, you can see what's happening. And it's not just about President Trump. Nationalism is going to become the way politicians and political leaders across the globe are going to work and act. In that kind of a situation, how do you integrate globally? And that is where the HR function is going to play a role. How do you enable and coach the leaders of the organization to navigate this very perplex and a very complex process of change? What will remain within the purview of human touch, coaching, communication, purposeful communication, empathy at workplace, and of course therapeutic change. Because please understand that out of the workforce which is going to hit the organization in the next couple of years, 66 to 70% will come in with serious mental health issues. Enabling the leaders of the organization to deal with those mental health issues is something which AI can't help you. AI can enable you with some content, but the skill has to be learned and practiced. The understanding has to soak in, and the taboo around mental health has to disappear. So that's a psychological change that you have to, mindset change that you have to bring about within the organization. And that's, I think, the way, what does human resources have to do in the future? I think these are the three things that the HR function needs to do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like, with that particular context, see once I recall my days 3 decades back, once I started my career, that point of time, attendance, typically being a traditional manufacturing setup, we used to record the attendance by recording P, sitting at gate and recording 9 o'clock enter. And now we move the era geofencing. The people who is entering in my premises, they are automatically their attendance recorded. So see the technological transformation. While we have to take the leave, I recall my days. One time I have to take leave for 10 days. So that point of time during my era, I am talking about almost 30 years back. So we have to jot down the applications and showcase, reach to our bosses, sir, मेरे को छुट्टी लेना है, तबीयत खराब है, ऐसा वैसा, and by that way, big ज्ञान our HOD used to give. If you are going to take leave, how things will be managed and all those things, why you are taking 10 days leave, do these things and reduce the leave from 10 to 5 days. And that was very touching moment. I would like to share a real example. I put an application to my boss for 15 days leave for my father eye operation. And that point of time he suggested glaucoma, my father having glaucoma. So once I reached to him for applications, so he said, where you are going? I say, I am coming to Calcutta was the nearest place for us. Basically, I am from Patna. So that was that point of time. That was medical hub. All those variety of hospitals, Ruby Hospital and all are very well known hospitals that point of time. So once I reached to him, then of my HOD, so he said, कहाँ जा रहे हो? मैंने बोला कलकत्ता जा रहा हूँ. कलकत्ता से अच्छा शंकर नेत्रालय चले जाओ. वहाँ पे ग्लूकोमा का ट्रीटमेंट अच्छा है. So how it evolved? Nowadays we have employee self-service portal. So I am applying the leave automatically if my boss is not approving that leave. So what I turn to my boss is toxic. But if he is not instantly, so how things are evolving? Typically a traditional industries and all, na? So this is how the transformational change is happening. And typically, old days compliance manager, HR typically termed as a compliance manager. Now, we HR are termed as a culture architect.
Let's move to the next panelist, Ms. Subramaniam, and let's hear from her side of the story that how she is probably helping other organizations to run their AI story.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. Thanks, Naman. Thanks a lot for the dignitaries on the stage also. And let me start with how I'm helping my own organization first, and then probably other organizations. To make it a little lighter, it seems to be very serious actually, and the kind of topic what we are talking is also very heavy, right? So I'll start with one quick story what happened recently, a couple of years back maybe. So I was working on Arogya Setu. How many of you know Arogya Setu? Yeah, we've all used, right? So I was the only HR, it started in Make My Trip, and I was in Make My Trip, and I was the only HR who was working for a language translation, okay? Now it came in 16 languages, and I know Kannada, I know English, Hindi and Tamil and a bit of Telugu, and I can understand Malayalam because I've picked up the craze for watching Malayalam movies, okay? Now, it was supposed to come in 16 languages. So 4 languages I could understand what it was talking. The other language like Urdu, the other language like Punjabi, Gujarati, all of this, when we converted the text to that language through AI. Okay, and I made these Punjabis, I made Gujaratis, all my colleagues to come and sit and listen to it, right? The AI had literally, I think there is an article about it, you can probably read about it. The AI had literally picked up all the foul language in that particular language and put it up, right, as the instructions. So now, let me come to the reality, right? A lot of you are yawning, please don't yawn. I am feeling yawn, like sleeping, right? So now let me come to the reality check. Are we really what is this AI washing? Are we really are getting panic, and is it just a fad we are all talking about, or is there some reality in this? My dear friends, yes, there's a lot of reality in this, and there is a lot of empowering which is going on for human. Right, and you can take it as our dear colleague told that it is from your, it can be for your transport, it can be for your travel, or it can be on signals, or it can be at your house, or at office, or your recruiting. You take any damn thing, right? AI is integrated. Now, what are your roles, right? As students or a MBA students or anybody, what is my role? You're all more worried about what am I going to become obsolete? So listen to this. Basically, there are three types of this AI education. One is if I'm an HR or a finance person, or if I'm an admin, operation strategy, anything of it, right? A basic AI knowledge is something what I'll expect as a CHRO in my organization. So I'm taking an HR. So the person obviously has to know co-piloting or maybe ChatGPT, as the chief guest was talking about, right? We go and first look at ChatGPT because it's got all the answers. And I'm lazy to go and do my research. A lot of us are, so, and let's accept it, and nothing wrong about it. So I need basic knowledge for people who enter the organization for my power roles or support roles, right? That is where you people have to be very clear about that you don't need to do a PhD in AI, ML or deep understanding and get into an organization. You can manage with basic understanding of your ChatGPTs, co-pilots, or your Office 365, or your office, internal office tools, whatever we use. Right? The second one comes for the technology folks. Now, what are the technology folks? For whom am I talking? Java, right? C++, or your Kubernetes, or testing, product managers, project managers, right? All these people come under the category of technology group for me. When they come in, I would look forward for a standardized understanding of AI, where they can learn a new technology, right? They have a capability, agility or consumption power of understanding and learning new technology. That is for the second category people. The third category is people who are AIML, right? Who have deep technology understanding, who has deep consumption power to agility and new technologies and to understand what is happening in AI. So this is all it is about. The fad, the talk or the buzz, everything conspires into these three things: having basic knowledge, having a moderate knowledge and having a deep understanding. Above all these things, what are the things what I look at when a person comes in, or in an organization? Let me take that up in the next question which Raman will ask. So I think you people should not get worked up about it. Am I going to become obsolete? Absolutely not, right? No, you will not be obsolete. Let's understand which are the kind of roles which are going to get obsolete, which are the kind of roles which are going to stay and which will enhance and grow in the industry in our future questions and discussions. Thank you.
As well as these people, the MBA grads who are coming into the industry, to have a realistic expectations about what to do. Right? So we would like to start.
Could you restate the question a little?
Yes. So MBA grads, when they are entering the industry now, they from them. From the point of view of the knowledge of AI, how do they integrate AI into their domain? How do they make use of it to be a little bit more efficient on those lines?
So I'll tell you what we technical knowledge, having gone through internships and projects and so on. What would I and my organization expect from an MBA grad in today's time and age, when AI is going to be the most sought after tool? There are two things that we would expect. One, you must have a great degree of imagination. So the competence of imagination, imaginative skills. Why am I saying this? Is because once you enter an organization and start working in your particular function, you should be able to imagine to what extent you would like to use AI and how far would you like to go to be able to get predictability out of the unpredictable environment in which the businesses operate. Correct? So that's one. So the first skill, imaginative skills, ability to imagine. The second is integrative thinking. So I'll give you a small example. Everything needs to finally connect on to the bottom line. And we have systems, integrated digitalized systems called ERP. Where will you use AI to make it faster and more productive? So you need to be able to think integratively for the entire organization. So for example, when a person comes in, when an employee joins the organization, comes in with certain skill sets and is expected to give a certain outcome. Over a period of time, he or she will be expected to deliver a different outcome because the market scenario has changed. What kind of learning initiatives do you need to push in at this point in time? That's one. Having said that, from an organization perspective, you should be able to think that if I need this kind of a skill that this particular employee possesses, where else can I place him in the organization? So the ability to think integratively. So for example, customer, let's look at the customer. And let's look at my business, which is paint business. The consumer at the home is not my ultimate customer. The influencer who influences their decisions to apply a particular kind of coating is the person who is my customer. So the dealer, the contractor, the painter is actually Berger's customer or a paint company's customer. Now AI should be able to go much beyond this. I should be able to cut through that. Saying, what is the end consumer at the home, sitting at home, expecting? What kind of offerings can I give directly to that person? And how can he or she look at his own home? How far can he or she dream about it? Can I use AI? And that's where, from there, a nudge goes off to my painter or to the contractor or to the dealer saying, go and tap this particular individual and this particular household. Go and tap that particular housing complex which is just coming up. And this is the kind of people who are going to get into those kind of housing complexes, and therefore this is the kind of products you can pitch. From there, bring predictability in this kind of analytics which happens. And therefore my sales people, my product development people, my marketing guys should be able to get those kind of insights from AI, saying, if this is the kind of housing complex that is coming up with this kind of high rises, and this is the kind of income bracket, and this is the kind of locality in which it is being placed and being positioned, these are the kind of products that would perhaps sell better. This is the kind of interior designer that these individuals who will be occupying those houses will require. So a nudge goes off to the interior designer who is part of my my ecosystem. So there's a lot of things that you can do out of that. And then bringing out from that, the employee who will be servicing that particular customer, what kind of skills and what kind of knowledge should be able to go with, and what kind of questions are likely to come up from the consumer. So the whole thing can be integrated. So integrative thinking is another skill or a competence, along with imagination, which I believe I would expect from MBA grads to come in with. The rest is for us to train internally and equip you. Thank you.
Thank you. I think one of the key points that Mr.
Which talks about the digital twin, name of any tool. You understand this digital twin, correct? Okay, or I can say smart manufacturing, or I can, say industry 4.0. So these are the basically one piece. Second piece, basically, if you see when you come, say from some of the generative AI is 30% more with the leaders. So if you see, if the employees is working, because they encounter with, daily kind of a transactions, and they try to use, some of the tools which are permissible in the organizations and which can be used. But you're not using any kind of a tool which is a deep kind of a tool. So like, in my organizations, just to understand, what is the mood of the organization. Now I'm not talking about the mood of the people or the mood of the employees. So you have, some kind of ecosystem in the organizations where they can gauge the sensitivity of the employees, and they can say, okay, now the mood of the organizations today is this, and as a leader you have to put this kind of interventions. So the gone are the days when you are completing your appraisal cycle, getting some kind of increment and promotion and all, and then HR is coming into the picture and is asking, okay, now with the employee survey, tell us how you're finding the HR services in the organization. No, it's all now real time. If I wanted to gauge the employees mood for the organization, I should have some kind of a system in place where I can gauge on the real time basis, so that I can take the real time of decisions, like in the recruitment part and all. So usually if you see, it's a part of the manpower planning, and which is again a responsibility of the talent acquisitions and the CHRO of the organizations. So he will do some kind of analysis, and based on that, the business visions of the organizations, and also what is the manpower is required in what particular skill, they will come up with some kind of a plan and all. But currently everything is changing very fast, and they require everything on the fingertips. So I just wanted to know, how many people are basically in the organizations, those who are MBA in analytics. So if you go back to the Excel kind of a scenarios, somebody will do the VLOOKUP and then come up with the report. Okay, now there are 50 people, those who are MBA in analytics. But currently the system and the data are available on real-time basis. It's just a, let's say a fraction of a second you have to change the gear only, and you can see the data, visualize the data in front of you. So the capability which I am talking of currently, it's not, you should get only theory. If I take one more examples, you said just see the, the student, those who are completing their MBA and all, sorry, MBBS. If I talk with the MBBS people, they, in the daytime, they do the classes, okay? I'm talking of the MBBS graduates. In the night time, they go to the hospital. You just see, how they are honing their skills with the patients on daily basis. Are you getting the opportunity like this? How many of you doing, within the course curriculum, apart from 2 months of your internship, you have done at least 5-6 live projects, or maybe 10 live projects? Number will be very less, because ultimately you have to come to the corporate, and early you should reach to the corporate and start trying to solve their problem. Maybe physically it is not possible, but there are a lot of organizations which is providing a platform through which you can you can solve a lot of the problem, which can be solved by sitting here in this campus itself. So your readiness is very important, because what I am seeing right now, what bot has today here, it will not take you there. So what you have to do, you have to upskill and reskill on a very continuous basis, and currently, the entire learning format is available on your fingertips. The only thing is that don't try to bring the trash, try to focus on the, something which is a tacit. So tacit knowledge is also important, and I think your professors or maybe the people from the corporate, they will be helping in terms of, what is the application of what you are learning in the campus. And that should be a continuous, it should be the DNA of every institute. So that, your learning should go on the continuous basis, on a real time. You should not be a walk, once you are coming into the, say, the corporate, and you say, okay, ये भी तो मेरे को पढ़ना था, मैं तो पढ़ नहीं पाया, मैं कर नहीं पाया. Not like, because organization is not, ready to give you that much time for upskilling and reskilling. Gone are the days, when the organization was saying that, okay, I select the students for the attitude and I train for this skill. No, they don't have time. They want ready-made. How many of you go to the tailor and give your, all kind of a measurement for stitching your shirts and pants? It's a ready-made. So you need to be readily available. Very few, I know 5% will be still, they are very sacrosanct, they want, everything should be perfect. But I think now this is a ready-made kind of a world. So even the corporate also, they wanted to see their people ready-made, readily available to deploy for anything, any kind of a project which is required. And that's how the, the strategy of HR is also changing. So a lot of the changes are happening. If you talk of the gig talent or a gig economy or say circular economy or sustainability or something which are related with the environment part, and also those all responsibility of not HR, it's the responsibility of everybody. Every employee is responsible to, for the sustainability. So you have to also get into a multi-skilling part and all. Because there is a says, of one of the futurists, his name is Alvin Toffler, he said, the illiterates of the 21st century is not those who can read and write. The illiterates are those who cannot learn, relearn and unlearn. So you have to define your ways, and there are a lot of the people as a mentor, as a coach, as a professor, those who are readily available to handhold you, to guide you and to take you into the new world of the AI. Thank you.
Sharing the expectations that the industry.
You learn is the only thing that we will get rewarded for, and not just rewarded, that is the only route to survival. The faster we learn, the more rapidly we'll learn, and the more we learn, the better. So that's going to be rewarding.
Thank you, sir. Very rightly said. And IIFT students are well equipped and are running at full pace to learn these things before they enter the industry. And I'm sure that none of the students would, when they will join your company, would disappoint you. I think keeping the check on time, I would now make the floor open to our students so that some of the questions I'm sure they have in mind for a panel, they should also get an opportunity to ask that. So now the floor is open for the students. Can we help them with a microphone? Yes, please state your name and the panelist. If it is directed to a particular panelist, please state their name as well. Yes.
They say that you need to learn. But my problem is that we are not getting the path in which we have to focus on. For taking my case, I'm an economics graduate, and after seeing the data science and all the bubble before AI, I have learned over more than 30 online courses on data science, and yet all to know that everything is being trivial. Now you see the CEOs of big tech companies are saying that stop learning coding because it is going to be like no code and more, it will be just within the reach of a.
Yes. Any
there are better.
Very specifically, I think there are a lot of the courses are available. Whether it's a Simply Learn or you talk of Coursera or LinkedIn and all. Because if I answer your question, I think AI is everywhere. Okay, so when I say AI, so if you are looking forward, say AI into your space or data science into your space and all, it's always better that you should take some use case. Because if you see most of the startups, what they are doing, they are taking the use case as a problem statement. They do kind of a the hammering, that is the brainstorming. They apply their creativity and innovations and then come up with some solution. Because those solutions are very important and it is very prevalent also with that particular problem. If I give you the example of the Apple. Apple is most branded company and all. And we know the features they bring every year. Okay, one of the days, you know, I bought the fridge and fridge has some problem, then I will call the call center. They will, you know, take my the complaint, they will generate the ticket. Then engineer will call, he will take the appointment, and then he will, you know, rectify those. But your problem will remain problem because they have already launched the product into the market. Okay. Now the second part, you know, whatever the feedback you are giving, they will take it as a part of their R&D agenda, and they will try to, you know, solve that particular problem maybe after a year or 2 years. And when they will launch the new version, they will come with the, you know, all those kind of the complaints are already addressed and all. But currently, if you see the way, you know, the Apple is working, Apple has, you know, a DNA of the design thinking. And if you get into the design thinking concepts and all, it's basically focused, you know, before you design any product or the feature of the product, try to understand the pain of the customer. It should not be reactive, you know, they proactively do all the homework, they talk to the, you know, the multiple customer with the multiple geography, with the multiple time zones and all, and based on that they create, you know, a kind of a product which has beating, you know, the entire market. If you talk of, you know, rest of the leaders, whether it's a Samsung or a OnePlus, they all follow the same kind of the features, you know, which has been already launched as a part of, you know, the say Apple 17 or Apple 17 Pro and all. So if you really wanted to go ahead, as you know, Mr. Banerjee said rightly that you should have very intense kind of interactions with the, you know, the users. So when I'm talking users, it's the corporate one, because now you're leaving, you know, your theoretical base will be already founded here. The foundation is completed. Now how to fly on that? So for flying, you know, you need to understand that now these are the problems which are available with the industry, and I have to pick 3-4 problems and try to see that what I have learned, how it is going to add value to the organization, whether it's a bottom line or a top line. And that's how, you know, you can make yourself relevant forever. And again, the second one, if you want to fail, fail fast. Learn from, you know, what you have done wrong, and then scale up. Hope I answer your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
One is, you need to first figure out what is that you want to do, right? 2 to 3 things you take. You can't, like, you know, be stuck to one particular area. Today, if you come for an interview and if I am an HR head over there and, like, you know, my only thing is how well you can also do another job there. Right? It is just not you. I don't want you to only be a product manager. I probably want you to be a program manager also, right? Or maybe a scrum master, a test engineer, whatever, right? So now you finalize 2 to 3 areas where you want to concentrate, and then take up those courses, right? Then it will be, like, you know, streamlined, and it is the corporates and how I need to adapt to it, if I've understood properly. You have to look at mentors. Mentorship is something, like, you know, probably very undervalued today. But I've always looked at mentorship as, like, you know, a holistic approach for any student. And a lot of IITs have asked me this question, like, where I failed and where I actually, and you can implement it. So mentors are somebody who's just going to tap what is good in you and how well you can perform. So I insist, and, like, you know, the experience part. I've gone through 15 years of experience. Manoj has gone through 20 years of experience. Banerjee has gone through another 30 years, whatever, right? The experience is what? That is why mentoring is extremely important. So all of you, I urge today, like, you know, the person is, you might not be able to meet that person. So for me, I've always kept Swami Vivekananda as my mentor. Because, like, you know, we had a history of Ramakrishna Ashram and other things in my family, and, like, you know, I started reading about it. Nothing wrong with it, right? Like, you know, one IIT guy told me, like, you know, Modi is my mentor, right? Like, you know, or somebody else, right? So have that in your mind. And very beautiful line what Manoj told. Today, if I have to hire somebody, what I look at it is, it's not, like, you know, exactly like the role. It's the skills, right? Somebody who can learn, unlearn, relearn, right? how do I unlearn, relearn this one? There are a lot of gig, this one, bites are there. If you're not, I'm not a person who can read for a long time books. So I always go for TEDx or podcasts, various way of reading and updating ourselves. I hope we've answered.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Nice
Thank you, sir.
Critical thinking, creativity, extensive collaboration part, and communications. These 5 skills you have to develop during these 2 years of course. This is how you are going to be industry ready. And as she said, setting the mentor, setting the goal. So these are the aspects where you all people have to build up, and this is how you will be industry ready.
Thank you, sir. I think this is all gold advice that we are getting for free today, right? So quickly, let's take up the next question.
Decision making in an organization.
Yes, please.
See, the AI is giving platform for a lot of data analytics aspects. If people did during the organization working frame, they do n number of projects, and all those data, their success and all are available. And on that basis, we comfortably match or position them where they are going to be placed. And that is unbiased approach, because we have clear-cut data, supporting data against it. This is how it is going to be more unbiased approach.
Yes, please.
I will just add one example. I think when we talk of the generative AI and all, we all know that OpenAI is the market leader currently, and they have done a lot of I can say large data, LLM kind of scenarios where they have conducted an exam with the 50 students just to kill the biasness I'm talking of. 3 years back when the version was I think 2.0, and after completion of the exam, the medical like NET and all, what we do, they have checked, the number of students who have passed with the percentage and all. And with that particular version of OpenAI, they got around 62% correct. Okay. Then when they come up with the new version, that is the 4.0 and all, they found it is 92% correct. So what I mean to say here, one way with the enhancement in the technology, they are killing the biasness, is the first part. Second, how they are killing the biasness? Because the machines which is getting trained, that is the ML and deep ML, they are also getting trained and they know how to react. Lot of the reasoning problem, earlier it was, it was the limitations. If I talk of the GPU and all, they have limitations that they cannot do the reasoning part and all. But now with the new versions, because they are also learning on a continuous basis like us, they are able to solve a lot of the problems related to text, related to video, related to picture. You go to the co-pilot and just say, can you create one flyer which can, give us a kind of things which, for Diwali celebrations? It will take some time because they think and then they start sketching. And the sketching takes time and all. So this is how the technology is evolving, and it is becoming a complement and supplement for us. It's not a challenge for you again. If you see the McKinsey report, they said because of the AI, 92 million jobs will go away, but they will create also 170 million jobs. So it's only a matter of how quickly you are upskilling and reskilling yourself and make relevant not for today but for tomorrow and day after tomorrow also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Good morning, I'm Devansh. So on the consumer end, we see that companies like Meta, Netflix, they are working heavily to use AI to know the sentiments of the consumers, what they are eating, what they are basically looking for to feed them contents and all the advertisements. Do you think same thing could work internally? Use the term cultural architect for HR. If the HR knows what the mood in the organization is, given we have internal social platform for organization as well, like Viva, Engage and these. Though they are boring right now, but eventually even employees can start using them and they can also become, more engaging. Do you see HRs can play a role understanding the mood of the organization, allocation of tasks, or do you think that will be too much infiltration of privacy for HR knowing the mood of an employee there?
Something called Amber, okay? Every day morning as a HR head, I go and check and I exactly know what is the mood of my organization, right? It gives me an average, how many people are happy, how many people are not very excited about today's work, right? So that is one. Second thing is, if you look at the recruitment, we have totally made sure that we are using AI from the hiring part until the person exits, right? So it is totally automated. Now you come to the life cycle of the employee, right? He stays in the organization. What are the things what we need to do? So for example, a communication or a skip level, what we do with the employees. Now I don't really need to go and sit over there and do a skip level with every employee, right? Because I have an amber in the morning which tells me exactly which section of the society in the organization is happy and which section of the society in the organization is dissatisfied, right? So this was done not today. So this was 10 years back. So just imagine, as one of my friend was telling, the kind of improvement which would have happened today, right? And I do predictive analysis. Now when I do a predictive analysis, I find out a person from IIFT, how long if I hire him in my organization he will stay. So that is the accuracy what I can actually get. So for example, we did it from a couple of years back, and we got IIMs stay for 1.8 years in any organization, or IITs stay for 2.2 years of this one in an organization. So this is already there. Before I take a person, before I interview the person, I look at the sheet, resume, and I know exactly what the person is going to be, how long he is going to be, and how much 10x, 5x or 1x, what is that I am going to get output from this person. So today if you ask me, every walk of HR, it is extremely useful and we are implementing. It is real actually. And there was one quick example. There was one person for communication in one of the organizations which I work for. Okay. The day ChatGPT came, right? And trust you me when I'm saying this, the day ChatGPT came, because maybe the person had not upgraded or updated to what I was looking at, the person got replaced, right? Because I can just go into the, it's when I tell I, it means my team, right? So the minute I need a mail to be sent across the entire, because I take care of the global operations, right? It has to go for at least about 30 to 40 countries. I just go in and put, as another girl was asking the question, inclusion, and it comes a beautiful mail even in Copilot or wherever, right? And as Manoj was telling, I don't even use today to make my Diwali greetings anything manually. I don't need a UI person at all. I just go to Gemini AI and I just I just give the stuff and it comes out however I want it. So I think today it is beautifully integrated, and my friend, I'll tell you, today is one of the most, today means the time where we are living, the most beautiful time, because technology and human intelligence has come together. But whatever you do, obviously the human intelligence is going to surpass, right? Whatever, because the machine has to listen to what you tell, right? Machine just cannot perform by itself, it has to listen to you. So it's the most beautiful this one. Make sure that all of you update yourself and find out your way of updation, because everybody has different way of learning, right? Don't panic. As Manoj was telling, if you fail, it's fine actually. Learn from it, but get quick from that failure and start learning why did you fail from that, right? And I think that these are few things which you have to keep in mind rather than getting panic and other things. And there is a lot of AI which is unnecessarily also being put, because as I told you, it's a washing, AI washing. We just want to be very fashionable. We just want to be like, and lot of studies have also told that because of using a word AI, lot of angel investors are also investing in company, right? So like, these kind of things are also there. Be very practical, choose what are the 3 things what you want to do, how you want to upgrade yourself, and what are the kind of companies you want to get into, and what is that company is expecting. And you sort it and work from today, right? You will have another 1 year, 2 years, work from today. And I'm sure like, you will get what you require.
Thank you. I think that was beautifully answered, and I hope that this is the answer that he was looking for. So with this, we are also coming towards the end of this panel discussion. If I have to summarize what we have discussed in past 60-65 minutes, is that from the audience point of view, of course, is that first of all, AI is not at all a threat, it is an enabler. And what we need to do is pull up our socks and need to identify that what we need to learn about this technology, how do we integrate this in the current domain and specialization that we are working forward, and train ourselves, look forward to the industry leaders, hear their expectations as often as we can, and prepare ourselves to this beautiful journey where AI is going to be our companion. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for the wonderful panel that we had today. I think all the discussions, all the deliberations that we had were very nicely set for the theme that we chose today. And I think a huge round of applause is in order for our panel.
It gives me immense pleasure to welcome Mr. Sudhir Sharma, the Head of Talent Acquisition at the Adani Group.
What I'm going to talk about, what I've experienced in my life. I don't know whether it's going to be helpful. Somebody might think that am I going to talk about everywhere in terms of how do we bring in more efficiency, how do we bring in more data to take the right decision, how do we really want to make sure that we eliminate the feeling of gut feeling that okay, I feel this might happen or this might work or this might not work. We don't need that job. There was a glamorous job of research analyst who used to talk about that which sector we should invest, which sector we should put the money in. And I am Calcutta, and the gentleman said I want to be a managerial role. I said, what does that mean? Because there's nothing called managerial role anymore in the world. Because those are more glorified admin kind of job which nobody wants in the organization right now. You are already set for the success. Don't run outside and try to gain more certification and more knowledge. Knowledge is good, but at least what you have right now on your plate, consume that first. While you're running beyond that, finish your plate, and then you will have more time and bandwidth. Then you can upgrade your competencies and by learning new things. The few tips I want to give, and most of you will end up as a future leader to the organization. The more and more I see people at the leadership level, the more and more they are less humble. They are ruthless, they are aggressive, they are on a mission. But I think, I personally feel that if you are humble in the initial few years, and obviously if that's your DNA, it's always going to help you, it will help you succeed faster. I've seen people with a good amount of competency and an attitude problem are a perfect recipe for disaster. But if you are low on competency and if you are a humble human being, there are 10 people in the organization who will come and help you understand and solve the problem. But the moment you show your attitude, oh, I am from IIFT, I am from ABC campus, you are bound to get doomed. Don't let success get into your head. And I give this example to most of the institute where I go. I said 2 batsmen started their career at the same time. One was doing phenomenally well. Today nobody even knows him. The second one was not doing that great, but today everybody looks up to him. This is a story about Vinod Kambli and Sachin Tendulkar. Vinod Kambli was technically far better than Sachin Tendulkar. Look at the record when he started his career. And look at where Sachin Tendulkar was when both were doing. But what happened is one could not manage the success. Success went in his head and he failed miserably. The other was able to manage the success. So when you get successful, be humble. Don't let that success get into your head, because the moment it gets into your head, you're bound to fail. Few days back, we just did Dashera and we burned Ravan. No one was more intelligent than him. But look at the destiny. He got killed by an ordinary man by the name Rama. Because the arrogance which was really took him down, otherwise there was nothing wrong with that individual. So my request to all of you is that initially, and as long as you can be, there's no fun in being arrogant and rude and ruthless to the people, because at the end of the day, you're dealing with a human being. Just because you have reached to a certain stage doesn't give you and empower you to do things which is ethically or not right. I've also seen a lot of people in an organization, they succumb to their own need, because I have expanded my need so much that I need to be in that job, and to do that job, I will do everything. I'm going to go back to one of my stories when I'm in an organization. This was one of the European investment banking. The new CEO joined the organization and he said he was not eligible for E-class, Mercedes E-class, and he went to the CHRO and he said, I want the E-class. The CHRO had his spine and he stood up and he said, you're not eligible for the E-class, you are eligible for a class below that, the version of the Mercedes. In the 3 months, he got a E-class and the new CHRO. So it's very difficult for the CHROs or the HR to stand their ground, because you have expanded your limit or your need so much. You want to be in a miserable job after IIFT, take a 2 crore home loan. Next 20 years you will do whatever you have to do in your job to be, just because you want to pay your EMIs. So if your needs are limited, you will be happy and you will do what you want to do. Not because you have to pay EMIs, so you'll be stuck in that job. So my humble request is just stop getting influenced by the people on the Instagram or the Facebook or the WhatsApp status. Oh, somebody's bought a new car, somebody's going to an international trip, somebody's having such a wonderful life. Trust me, nobody's having a wonderful life. The life what is getting projected on the Instagram, Facebook and WhatsApp are only to make you unhappy. The faster you realize it and the faster you will be happy in your life. Look at yourself only, because if you are happy, then rest everything doesn't really matter to you. Then you will be good in your job also, you will be good at home also, you will be good with the family also. But when you get influenced and you start looking at other people and start getting unhappy about them, and that you bring it back to your home, to your work, to your job, it's going to impact you. Don't do that. So my request to all of you is that don't get influenced by those. There are a lot of other good set of people with whom you can get influenced. Third, never take an advice from a friend. Definitely not a career advice. Please understand one thing. He is not or she is not an expert. But the problem with all of us is that we don't go to our parents because we feel they are useless. I have also gone through the same phase and you are also going through the same phase. It's a generational problem we all face all the time. And we feel our friends are the best because they always say yes to whatever I say. Somebody say, I want to be Hrithik Roshan. Arey haan, tu dikhta hai yaar. Tu kyun nahi acting karta? You should do it. But that's not the case. If you want a true advice, you are sitting in a Gyan ki Gangotri. There are faculties out here. Go and catch hold of one of them and say, boss, you be my mentor for the next 2 years. After I go out of the campus, I still want to be in touch with you. I want to fall back to you for my problems and solutions. Don't look up to them as a solution. Don't look at faculty, okay, they have come 60-minute classes, okay, now let's go, let's do and attend some other classes. No, they have so much of knowledge and wisdom with them. You want to go forward, you want to go to the corporate, you want to talk to some of us, more than happy to do that. But don't get this mindset of only talking to a friend, taking their advice and thinking that, yeah, this is right and I should do it. You may be blessed if some friend will say on the face of it, boss, ये useless idea, तू गधा है. जाके शक्ल अपनी आईना में देख, तो दिखता नहीं ऋतिक रोशन. Very far and few will say that. I can tell you, you will never tell your friend because you don't want to offend them. You want to be good with them. So choose your mentors and your coaches very wisely because this is the important 24 months of a career. Please understand that. All your life you have paid money to gain knowledge. 24 months down the line, you will be paid for all the knowledge you have gained. And this is the last 2 years, which is the foundation year of your career. This 2 years is going to define that the next 30 years, are you going to be in a corporate job, what kind of role you are going to do, how you are going to survive, how you are going to manage the things. And if you don't invest your time and effort out here, then you are wasted, and it's going to be very difficult once you go out of the campus. And you have people walking also. People choose both the route. Now you have to decide which one you want to go fast, which will take you faster to your career where you want to end up. Because nobody will handhold you in the corporate world to tell you, boss, you should do this. They'll assign a task to you and you'll get measured on that. Also, one thing important, people have this, we as Gen Z and organization should treat us differently, they should treat us differently, they should treat us differently. Why? What are you bringing to the table? Lack of span of attention, not committed to the job, very fickle-minded, want to jump from A to B to C. Why will anybody will hire you and invest in you? Because just because you're born in a year and you tag as a Gen Z doesn't qualify or doesn't give you entitlement that you should be treated with a white glove in the organization. No, you'll not be. Please understand that. That's a harsh reality. You have been brought up, and my kid has been brought up in an era where everybody is getting a consolation prizes. Everybody is getting a appreciation in the classes. Teacher cannot scold them. Teacher cannot tell them what is wrong. They cannot be harsh on them because that's not allowed. When we grew up, we were only 1, 2, and 3. Everybody else is a loser. So it's a accepting the failure. The reality of the life is very different. What is here and what is outside the world is very different. When you go to the corporate, the world is very different. It's a cutthroat competition. People are out there to do the job. They're not out there to make friends. They're not out there to make a long-term. You'll not retire from the organization. I'm pretty sure about it. I didn't retire. I'm sure you will not retire from one organization. You want to jump and you want to explore various organizations. But my request to all of you is that for the first 5 years of your life, spend as much of time in an organization to learn as much as possible. Go deeper into your subject. Because if you change job, one of the faculty started a conversation and in the 5 years he became a vice president of ICICI Bank or HDFC Bank. Please understand, the faster you grow by changing jobs, you are in the range of getting shot very quickly because you have not gotten the depth of the subject for which you have been hired. So you jump A to B to C to D, your salary has gone phenomenally high, your designation has gone phenomenally high, but your competency for which they want to use or want to hire you, you have not gone up because you have been at a superficial level. Because you kept changing job year after year. So my request to all of the students is that if possible, once you get inside a job, spend at least 5 to 7 years so that you get the depth of the subject. If you are fortunate to work in a manufacturing organization or in an organization which is not in service provider or not into bank kind of thing, go to the plant. Go to the setup from where the business is being generating revenue. You should know where the money is coming from. You should know what they are manufacturing, what goes inside the manufacturing unit, how employees and workers work out there, how does the plant work, how is the life out there. Because we all are so engrossed and we want to be only the corporate office, cubicle, AC, side cabin and all those things. That's not the life. If you don't know your business, then you will not be able to contribute to your function, whichever you join. Please understand, if you want to be a strategic partner to your business, you need to speak and understand their language. If you don't, then they will never consider you as a partner, then they will only consider you as a transactional job. Do the job, thank you very much. You will not be able to contribute any validation to the organization or to your business. So my request to you is that go to the roots where the business is coming from, what they are doing in. If you go there, you will come to know because this is what it is. This is how the manufacturing happens. And this is the effort which gets involved. People should not walk you over because you don't even know how is the windmill is being made at the plant in Mundra, or how that the port works in Mundra, or how does the thermal plant works, how does the boiler works and all those things. For that you have to go on the ground to understand. And I'm not saying that you should stay there for 2 years, 3 years, at least first 3 months, 6 months try to be there on the plant. So that you understand. Start contributing because more and more you contribute, people will accept you that you understand and you are contributing to the organization. People are very sharp. Please understand one thing. The other side people, while you are becoming intelligent thanks to the AI and you are building up a resumes, I am also becoming intelligent. While I'm on, my system is also becoming intelligent. When I get those resumes, my system says, "About this looks like a fake resume built by the AI." So everybody is going there. The games are going up. While you're 50-60% of your time you're spending on AI, I'm also investing 80% of time in building AI for myself. We are building a tool within Adani where we are saying that boss, for all the leadership hiring, I want to look at the talent which is culturally fit for me. Competency, I understand everybody brings the competency on the table, but whether that person will be successful in the organization or not, whether the DNA is matching our organization or not. So we are building a tool in-house which will tell me that this individual you should watch out. And I need to watch out and I need to look at what are the competencies and what are the area I need to probe more to find out that boss whether I should hire this individual or not. Now what happens is that removes the element of doubt. I am very clear in my head because these are the 3 areas I need to probe. And if I am convinced with the answers then I want to hire, otherwise I don't want to hire. So there were earlier a lot of time I used to interview the candidate and I managed to come back and say यार यार ठीक लग रहा है मेरे को friends है कर लेगा काम. I don't want that. If I'm hiring somebody at a VP level, I can't take a risk of kar lega kaam. What happens if it doesn't do or she doesn't do? So that's why the AI also, everybody is using AI in the every piece of work. HR is one of the last in the functions of the most of the organization to get any of the latest technology because business thinks that first the technology should come to the business because that's why they are generating revenue. HR हाँ ठीक है हो जाएगा यार, that's fine. But that's how it is. But now yes. Some of the organizations are investing, some of the organizations still feel that they want to manage it differently. As a leader, I want you, I'm sure most of you would have heard about the story of hat, haircut and tattoo. As a leader, you need to think on those 3 strategies. If you buy a hat, you use hat for some time and you realize it's not good, you change and you buy a new hat. That's a quick fix. You get a bad haircut, you can fix it in 2 months' time. But if you do a bad tattoo, either you are stuck with it or you have to fix it. So as a leader, you need to take that call. Well, is this a tattoo which will have a long-term impact if we go wrong? Is this a haircut or this is a head? So I think when you're making those kind of decisions, you need to think on those lines because what kind of impact is going to happen on the organization. Important element, one more thing I want to talk about is that as a leader, always hire a sharp and better than you under you. Most of the leaders I've seen, they hire very mediocre people under them because they themselves are scared. If he outperforms or she outperforms, what will happen? But I think if you want to have a team A, you need to have a smart people under you. You can't survive with team B or team people under you. Because they will never take you anywhere, they'll only pull you down. And if you want to go up, you have to make sure that you have a team A and better than you. Because that's what will only push you up to do better. And if you have a low competency or people who are poorer than you, then obviously you know that they'll never succeed your job. So then you are also in a comfort zone, they are also in the comfort zone and nobody is going to grow. The organization is only going to go down. Also, few more things I want to touch upon is that some of the panelists spoke about continuous learning. Important thing, and I think it's very, very necessary in today's world because the way the world is changing. How do we learn? What do we learn? I think most of the time what we do, once you go inside the corporate, you will say that corporate will teach you. No, corporate will not teach you what you want to learn. They will teach you only what they think that will add value to your job. Now in that scenario, you can't blame your manager or can't blame your company also saying that they are not teaching me. Because those skills are not relevant for them. But if it wants to be relevant for you, then I think you should also start. Most of you, I don't know if you do SIP. How many of you do SIP? Quite a few. Impressive. You should also do SDP, Systematic Development Plan. Now what is Systematic Development Plan? The next time you want to buy an iPhone 17, please don't buy an iPhone 17, put that money into a development plan. Because 14, 15, 16, 17, all the phone are same. It is like the Agrawal using double G, double A, double R thing. Nothing else. And somebody was talking about Apple. I think if Apple doesn't innovate, mark my word, next 10 years they will become Nokia. Because they are not innovating. And I'm sure if Steve Jobs would have been alive, he would have kicked the entire team out. for the innovation what they're bringing out. I really can't believe, I'm a big fan of Apple, I'm using most of the phones, but I've started thinking that I need to move out of it. Because they're not innovating. And that's what happens, because people don't think there is a need. They have enough loyal customer base who will still come and buy. And that's where the leader fail. And the stark difference between Tim Cook and Steve Jobs is that Steve was always focused on the innovation. 1,000 people can make billion-dollar company, and now when we speak, I think you can count them on a hand, 10 people, 20 people, 100 people can make a billion-dollar company. So that means that the manpower is shrinking. Innovation is coming. How do you keep yourself relevant? Most of my factory technology, something can be done by the help of automation and other things. And you guys are going to make your career now out of this campus, and you have to be relevant. So you have to be continuously learning what's new happening, and also keep inquisitive about that. I used to go to ABC and we used to hire investment bankers also. Very glorified job. Everybody wants to become like Hrithik Roshan, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara, bhag raha hai, daud raha hai, महंगे बैग लेके घूम रहा है, and all those things. Life's not that easy. At the age of 30-35, you'll see all the investment banking have all the blood pressure, sugar, medicine on their desk. What you're good into. If you're doing a finance and you want to become an investment banker, then you walk up to a faculty and say, boss, do you think I can do that job? And if not, then let him or her tell you what you are good into and hone that skill. Because please understand that not everybody is cut out to do everything. Somebody else is doing something else, somebody else is doing something else, you take everybody's presentation and then put into it and you go and present it, and that's the job. You go and motivate employees. I don't need employees, don't need you for motivation. They're already motivated. Don't come to me saying about Diwali party. I want to do party, I'll do one party. People used to think when I used to hire in way back and for the US market and UK market, I used to say you in a 3 weeks notice they used to get fired. I said, there was job security here. The same is in India now. There's no job security. Tomorrow your manager says, walk up to and say, boss, you are not required. So with that, I want to park and I'm already spoken on half an hour. Wow. And I'll hand it over to you if anybody has any question. I'm more than happy to answer. Please, go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. I am Sukhada from the batch of 27. So you mentioned about being culturally fit in the organization. So in the coming 2 years, how do we train ourselves to with that skill?
कुछ मत करो भाई, जो पढ़ाई करो बस. कितना कल्चर सीखेगा? अडानी का एक है, जिंदल का अलग है, इंडिगो का.
You look for in a candidate, like you told us about all the learning agility and things like decision making, right? When you look at leaders, but when you hire like people not from MBA colleges but at higher positions, right? How do you actually see leaders becoming from the actual MBA graduates, right? How they actually do?
The journey is very long. Yes, see, within 10 years, somebody will take 20 years. It all depends upon an individual's appetite. And that's what I keep telling my most of the time when I hire talent is that means the canvas is big. Nobody will stop you from doing things. If you go and tell people I want to do X, people will happily allow you to do that. Nobody will say, "Nee, bas itna hi kar." Most of the and I think that's what the problem is. That we need to understand that if I want to go faster, you want to run 100 meters, you want to run 400, you want to run marathon, depending upon you. No, it's your choice. And if you want to run a marathon, then you can take it easy. But the era in which you guys are going to join now, we don't even know whether we need marathon practitioner anymore. Because in zero and all those things. Those are the teenage which is there in you. And people see that. When they come inside your corporate, you will not stay back. You will want to be in the front stage. You want to be in the center stage. Because today's time, most of the problem is that people are not motivated. Monday blue. Like, क्या Monday blue है? सारे नहीं मिलते हैं Monday के लिए. Please understand that. वो नहीं होता भाई. वो flip नहीं होता है. So hard work is the only solution. Without that, कुछ नहीं होने वाला है.
And after the COVID, there was a tussle between should organization go remote and should organization go totally in office. And there are pros for going both the ways. So as a HR leader or as a business leader, what is the balance you want to create in the industry?
I'm sure your parents never had a work from home culture. Neither mine. If they had, divorce हो जाता. Second, तो वेद हम जाके घर पे बिल्ड करते हैं कि oh I do such a fantastic job, I do work from home, which started. Only started in the COVID time. Thanks to TCS, they made that bold and stupid decision that 75% of the population will never come back to work. They now started coming back within 2 years. So people, the leaders were not even thought through, and they made a statement which was very juvenile. I'm sorry to say that, but then people assume that the word, I fail to understand how did they even pass out. You don't work with a team. You're sitting at home, somebody sitting in some other plant, you try to call them. That's the only thing. So I think it's not, I find, personally, I'm not a great advocate of work from home. If somebody has a genuine issue, they want to take it as an exception, okay with it. But I feel that if you're not working in the office, there's no synergy. Meet people in the initial few years, that's what will build your brand equity. If people have to think, oh, who are you, then it's like failed recall value of yours. Don't do that. And work-life balance, yaar, matlab, theek hai yaar. 9 घंटे काम करते हैं, nobody, no, I can write and give it to you, nobody in this world work for 9 hours in the office. किसी का सुट्टा ब्रेक होता है, किसी का कॉफी ब्रेक होता है, किसी का गॉसिप ब्रेक होता है, किसी का लंच ब्रेक होता है.
VP or such positions, sir?
So we have a very robust process when we are hiring somebody at a certain level and above. We do an assessment, which is a very exhaustive assessment and individual has to go through. It's covered all.
I'm Dipen Lavaria from the Raj 27. Sir, I was reading that India currently has 2,000 global capability centers, and seeing that there is a certain decoupling going on with the Western world where most of our output was targeted towards. So how do you see that changing, that dynamic changing, that dynamic that is changing, change the traits that you are looking for a person when you're hiring for like a certain senior or like middle management? For example, previously the output that a person was producing was a metric. So now how does that change with the advent of automation, for example, or changing social dynamic?
Yeah, it's too early for most of the organizations very quickly. But certain roles which are very output driven, which are measurable, obviously those are metrics are getting measured, and then based on that, how much automation is. You have to give them a lot of use cases to tell them, okay, why don't we try this, why don't we try that, because they don't want. So most of the time people are scared of doing that because this is very critical, I can't touch this is very critical, I can't touch this. So the risk which doesn't have a much of an impact on the overall life cycle. 1 or 2 prototypes get successful, then people can gradually move into the next and more complex role.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. In a rapidly changing world, the skills required of leaders are evolving at an unprecedented pace. By 2013, nearly 39% of core skills will transform, demanding agility, strategic thinking, and emotional intelligence. As HR expectations shift, leaders must become architects of continuous learning, adaptability, and human-centered innovation. Therefore, evolving skills and HR expectations, preparing leaders for the next decade, a topic isn't just a topic for discussion, it's a blueprint for the leaders of tomorrow, from our leaders of today. I'm honored to now invite our panelists on stage. We're delighted to host Mr. Partha Samai, Vice President and Head Human Resources of Jio, as one of our distinguished speakers for this session. With over 2 decades of rich experience across telecom, ISP, digital and payment sectors, he has led end-to-end strategic HR lifecycle management, spanning manpower planning, talent acquisition, leadership development, performance management, and many others. In his current role at Jio, he leads HR strategy for one of India's leading telecom organizations, aligning human capital initiatives with business imperatives. Prior to this, he served as Group Head Human Resources at AGS Transact Technologies, where he led HR strategy for a multi-location enterprise with over 15,000 employees. His leadership journey also includes key responsibilities at Ticona, Tata Teleservices and Airtel, where he rose through progressive HR responsibilities. Mr. Samai has been widely recognized for his contributions to the HR domain, earning numerous. Mr. Prasad is a seasoned HR leader with over 22 years of experience spanning HR strategy in India's aviation sector. At Indigo, he has led the design and execution of award-winning DEI frameworks, creating inclusive opportunities for deaf employees at check-in counters, and launched impactful programs on mental well-being, internal mobility, hybrid culture, and continuous learning. Under his leadership, Indigo has had the honor of being recognized with 9 national awards today, and look forward to your insights on building people-first organizations in a complex and rapidly evolving world.
Thank you.
He exemplifies dedication and loyalty, having joined the company straight out of XLRI Jamshedpur in 2008 and never looking back since. His journey is a testament to the fact that when commitment meets passion, it creates a lasting impact on both people and businesses. Over the years, Mr. Damani has held diverse leadership roles across ITC's businesses and geographies, from his early years as an assistant manager HR at the Munger factory to managing employee relations at Saharanpur to leading as general manager employee relations. To hear your thoughts here. Also, I would like to welcome Ms. Arpita from Campus Engagement and Employer Branding. With over 17 years of diverse experience across leading organizations, she currently spearheads strategic workforce planning and skill-based hiring initiatives at Axis Bank, driving the bank's vision of building a future-ready and digitally enabled workforce. At Axis Bank, Ms. Pamnani has been instrumental in expanding the bank's annual hiring capacity through 9 hire, train, deploy programs and ensuring the seamless integration of over 3,000 employees during the Citibank merger. Her focus on innovative HR models and digital transformation has strengthened Axis Bank's position as an employer of choice in the financial services sector. Prior to her current role, she served as Assistant Vice President. Her career reflects a strong commitment to fostering capability, building inclusion and innovation within the ever-evolving HR landscape. Ms. Pamnani, it's an honor to host you at IIFT Kolkata, and we look forward to gaining valuable insights from your extensive experience and leadership journey. Research exploring how organizations can adapt to the changing skills landscape. Her nuanced understanding of evolving talent needs makes her an ideal moderator for today's conversation on preparing future-ready leaders. We warmly welcome Dr. Jaiswal to guide this enriching dialogue.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible. Yeah, thank you so much and welcome all the panel members. And good afternoon to everyone, and I hope you had a good break. And again, one more thing, that you are not going to sleep, because after lunch people feel little sleepy. So over the decade, the type of the leadership style has changed and evolved over the period of time, starting from, if we look into the theories of leadership, it is from the trade theory to transactional leader to transformational leader, more of the servant leaders that we have seen. But there is a lot of change and disruption has happened in organizational context. So the introduction of this hybrid work mode, or maybe that there is a change in the technology disruption or the introduction of AI, and some of the changes with related to workforce. So Gen Z is there. So how to just relate all these things, and what kind of leadership style and what kind of different leadership models would help to understand and to prepare for the next decade, where the challenges would be different aspect of the organizational requirement will emerge. So in that context, we will have the discussion. So first I would...
Can I request a round of applause for all of us? I generally do this because उसके बाद पता नहीं भरोसा नहीं. I just wanted to make it lighter. You are agile enough. You are very, very open to learn new things and reskill yourself. All of you are young enough and to learn new things, and you are curious enough to adapt to new things. At the end of the day, even if all 4 of us sitting here, rather all 5 of us sitting here, and all the panelists, the senior panelists whom you heard in the first half of this session, they have all grown over the years just because they had very, very strong will to learn. Maybe we can very easily use the word reskilling themselves mentally. But I come from a background where we train our this part first and then the physical part. It is often misunderstood that armed forces people are physically very strong. ऐसा नहीं होता है. We are trained first here, would always walk a path which is a continuous learning. Until unless that you have in your head, it doesn't work. Second bit, which I feel is working very good. There are 3 C's which I feel one should follow. One has to be curious. Curious for what? Curious to learn. In your past sessions, you must have heard many a times that you need to have that, hunger and appetite to learn. If you are curious to learn, your team will learn with you and you will learn along with your team. So you have to open that mind that I'm a leader who is open to learn from everywhere, 360 degree. Second, a leader who will be very collaborative. Because if you are curious to learn, you will have a very, very good window and very, very good appetite to collaborate with people. You will build a team which is very, very collaborative, which will earn and win victories for an organization as a single unit. And if you are working as a single unit, you should be open to any kind of feedback, be negative, be positive, right? So you should have that courage to take that feedback very, very effectively. Last is the courage. That is the 3rd C. A leader with an amazing courage to lead teams as a unit and take it to the next level makes the unit stronger and stronger and stronger. That leader who is really taking the last man who is the weakest link and bring that weakest link to the front and ensure that they win as a team. Like I'm a sports enthusiast. If you are running a group marathon, for example, not a single marathon, or a cyclist team. So in cyclist, in Mumbai we used to do a lot of cycling. If you are doing a 200-kilometer cycling, you always have a drifter. Drifter is the one who cuts the wind for the cyclists who are running behind, right? So you got to be a drifter. You need to ensure that the weakest cyclist in the team is taken up front and then rest all cycle and pedal together. That means the cadence of the entire team is calibrated. So when you keep the weakest guy in front, he or she gets into a pressure, not a pressure negatively, positive pressure, that I need to perform so that the team doesn't go back or fall back. And the drifter helps the weakest link to cut across and move ahead. So these 3 C's will help you really build yourself. On my way from my place to your institute, I had a friend from your institute, Nishant. Nishant, where are you? There. So we were chatting up and I was telling him that it is very important that you ask in isolation the WHY, which is very important. So don't get drifted just because a friend of yours or a classmate of yours or a best friend of yours is taking up a job in sales or marketing or whatever you can say, or in HR. You need to understand what are your strengths and weaknesses. You need to do your SWOT analysis for yourself. And that is the most basic thing of a leader. Be it a leader at any position, there or here, doesn't matter. If we know ourselves, we know how I'll plan and what are the factors I will factor in to get the plan executed, deployed and be successful. I rest my one share. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your 3 C's for the leadership. And now I request Rakesh Prasad sir to share his viewpoints on the same. Over to you, sir.
Am I audible? Yeah. So there's a very interesting picture that somebody sent this morning. Okay, and this is very, very contextual. So I was very excited to share this with all of you. It says, there are CEOs standing, and on the left side, there's one guy who's saying, who are we? Asking to the CEOs. No, he's asking to this group of people, who are we? They're saying we are CEOs. Then he's saying, what do we want? So the CEOs are saying AI. Then he says, AI to do what? We don't know. Then he says, when do we want it? Right now. So the moral of the story is that, see, most of the times today, leadership is very, very contextual. And not just today, it has been always. They say that content is king, but context is king kong. So if you're asking about what leadership skills that you require, is just to have a common sense. And common sense is the most uncommon thing in today's time. You see, everybody doesn't land up in Google. Everybody doesn't land up in Apples of the world. But the people who land up becoming entrepreneurs, people who land up setting up their own organizations, they become, billionaires in the shortest span of time. So what am I looking at in terms of the context that I'm going to, what is my dream? What is my dream? What do I want to aspire? What is my short-term dream? What is my long-term dream? In the morning in a session, somebody said that, the world is changing so fast, I can't think about 5 years down the line. Sarkar pehle banati thi 5 varshiya program. They still do it, okay? But because of the changing landscape, leadership, you see, is evolving to become more situational leadership. Like Madam Jaiswal was talking about, she's a professor OB, and we were talking about leadership styles. I was talking about role model leadership, and she was talking about other leadership styles. There is one research, not a research, but a study done by McKinsey, and this was called the Metamorphosis. And in the Metamorphosis study by McKinsey, where they spoke to world top leaders, the CEOs, and they are none other than the folks who are there in the Fortune 500 companies. And they picked up a sample of, I think, 150 or 200. And there the leaders said, there are 8 things that are standing out in today's time, where the CEO said, where the leaders need to adapt and evolve. Out of them, the top one, what is it? The top one, speed of execution. So you see, today the government is very, very rampant in execution, and that's why Nitin Gadkari ji keeps saying that, we did so many kilometers of highway. Then the telecom minister, very recently, the communication minister, so कुछ चीजें हिंदी में बोलने में थोड़ा जान आ जाती है उसमें, so वो बोले कि देखिए, skill तो आपने certificate लेके हासिल कर लिया, आप institute से निकले, संस्था से निकले, आपने skill हासिल कर लिया, but वो art है जो आपको relevant बनाता है, मतलब skill तो हासिल कर लिया, certificate लेके, अब उसी स्किल में अब सुबह किसी ने बोला कि कोई लोग जो है, some people will be ahead in the race and some people will be the the mediocres. So the art will take them ahead in the skill, and that's where the mind comes in, the curiosity skills comes in. One of the Google CEOs said that I recruit people who ask questions and not just give answers. Okay, so that's the second thing, curiosity. The third thing they say, the Metamorphosis study is saying, that leaders who are awe-inspiring. So it's not just leaders who are just a leader, but who are awe-inspiring. How do you awe-inspire people? It's not just about what you do, but it's about how you assist them to grow. Every one of us in our own space have a certain cohort of people who we interact with in our social space, in our personal space, in our professional space. And these are the people who we influence to a great extent. Like, for example, nowadays you see this reverse mentoring has come in. Okay, how many people have you heard of reverse mentoring? Reverse mentoring? What does it do actually? In fact, some companies are also taking a step ahead to say that let's have people, youngsters who will reverse mentor the CEOs. I am a coach and a psychotherapist, by qualification. I do some mentoring sessions for some of the CEOs and top leaders as well. That's on my personal capacity. But that's another lesson. The fourth lesson that I want to tell you is, and this is what the Metamorphosis calls out, inclusion everywhere. Inclusion everywhere means what? When lastly people talk about inclusion, what do they say? Inclusion is about including the physical aspect, right? The physical aspect, which is a person with disability, a transgender, LGBT, XYZ, a woman leadership, so on and so forth. All of that will be there. These are tangible. What is intangible, what is abstract, what is in the mind, which is not visible, which is actually leading to the deepest stress in any human being, is the mind. And so they say this for them. They don't go to each and every space to, learn the skill of the business that they are executing or which they are operating. Okay, but what have they learned? They have learned the art of administration. So as a leader, you need to learn the art of administration. And that's what every leader has to do. And the people who become very miser, who become very territorial, like the tiger, this is my 8 kilometers and this is my region, they always walk alone. But the lions never walk alone. They walk with the group. They think about the fraternity. वो अलग बात है कि lioness उसको मीट ला के देती है, वो खा के मजे करता है. But they walk in a group. They walk in the fraternity. So be like the lions when it comes to leaders. Think about the fraternity, think about the group, and that will help you taste success in life.
Thank you so much, sir. So, through your views, we have received some of the competencies like adaptation, speed of execution, and humanity, then inclusion. So, these are the competencies that is required for the future leadership. And now I request Mr. Navneet to give his views on the topic, please.
Thanks, ma'am. And thanks. I think a lot of that kind of a leader. So thanks for such a warm and lovely introduction. One of the things which was mentioned was about loyalty, and so I joined ITC straight from campus, and I have never felt the need to move out of ITC, and it has been really enriching journey, and it has been a journey of something which I really cherish a lot, and large part of why I have decided to stick with ITC has to do with the leaders that I have got to work with. I'll just speak about a few of the things which I have seen from them and picked up from them. So I completely agree that in today's day and world, there may be leadership models, there may be leadership theories, but I think it has to be contextual, it has to be situational, and you need to be alive and aware of what is happening around you. Two things I'll just mention. So one is, I think the generation which is coming today, I think their worldview is very different from even what I have experienced when I joined the organization. So I'll give you an example of one of my team members. So in our thought, the way in which your career happens, especially in HR, it is very well defined, and therefore you are supposed to pick up some experiences, do certain things, and that is something which is going to set up you for success, and therefore success is very well defined in that sense. So one of the things is, so I worked in factories, I worked in Munger and I worked in Saharanpur, and for a long period of time I did the role of general manager employee relations. Again, that was about working with all the factories of the tobacco business of ITC. So one of the things which happens in a factory is something called long-term settlements, which you sign with the union, and it is supposed to be something which is truly important and a landmark thing in your career. If you want to do well in ER, IR, you need to know how the settlements happen, and you need to have that kind of an experience. So therefore, I'll narrate one incident. So when I was doing the role of general manager, employee relations, so one of my team member, he was posted in a factory in Saharanpur. I was in head office in Kolkata. So the settlement was just coming up, and we were all preparing for the settlement. And in ITC, when the settlement happens in the factories, it's a very extensive process. In fact, our settlements are 300 long pages books, and it covers every aspect of the factory. So interesting. So when he used to come to Kolkata and visit any city, and obviously he will mention that I am finally out of some terms he used to use, I can't use that, but I used to get the message, what he's trying to say. So for him, being in a small town in Saharanpur, and by the way, Saharanpur is not a small town, it's quite decently well developed. But in his mind, he was very clear that in his early years, he has just joined from campus. He felt that he's wasting his life because all of his batchmates and other people are there in cities, and they are weekends are there, Saturdays not working, you go to a pub, you go to places with your friends.
And so I called him when I saw his status messages again and again. So I called him and I asked him, what is it that you would want to do? And I told him that LTA is coming up, LTS is coming up. It will be a very, very good experience for you. It will help you in your career and it will really take your career forward. And I asked him one question. I thought that it is absolutely the killer question and it will settle everything in his mind. So I asked him, what is more important? Getting the experience of a long-term settlement in a factory which is so big for ITC Saharanpur, or being in say Bangalore or Kolkata or Pune or Delhi with your friends. At this point in time in your career, what is it that you would want to choose? And his answer was very simple, that there is nothing to debate. I would want to be in Kolkata or Bangalore. I don't want the experience of a long-term settlement, and I was absolutely taken aback. I thought that, and I was not able to relate to it. I was thinking, how can he think like this? I mean, you are working in a factory, you have to have that kind of an experience. And again and again with people who are coming in now, I am seeing that is their priorities in life is very, very sorted. The definition of career is no longer linear. Definition of career within an organization is not linear. Definition of career is actually spanning across organizations. So recently I had one, she was doing exceedingly well she was handling a brand's role in our business, personal care business. So she was very, very clear in her head that I have done a sales stint, I have done a now brand marketing stint. Now the next stint is something which I want, which is not available in ITC. So even though I am doing extremely well, everything is taken care of, but since I want that particular experience, I need to move out. So that is one thing which I have come to realize, that as a leader, I think we need to be alive to what is happening around us, and therefore you need to keep your ears open and listen very, very intently to what talent is actually wanting and demanding, and therefore you can't design things for them. So I remember when I joined ITC, my boss had told me that you don't worry, your career will be taken care of because we have defined things for you. So your career is managed, and I was very happy. Chalo, I don't have to think so much, things will happen, but that is not how things work now. So therefore, as a leader across the board, do we have that within us in terms of understanding what works for each person in your team? And it is not a standard definition. Therefore, I think that is very important. The second piece is, which I feel is not changed, and it will not change, hopefully, for times to come. I think there was a mention of whether you inspire or your team members or not. I think energizing your ecosystem and others is a very, very important leadership skill, which was there yesterday and it will always be there. I'll give you an example of how I experienced that and what actually
people and be connected with the people, which is very important for a leader to be in the future. Now I request Ms. Arpita to just give her views on the leadership. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I think being the last one in the panel is yes. I think the only thing that's left is more about summarizing than adding anything. A lot of you I see, and we all hope, will probably become HR leaders tomorrow. Someday maybe you'll come up and say, Arpita, I was in that panel of yours and now I'm this. And maybe 2 cents from this panel or any other discussion you have had, maybe that will add some value to you, and that's the whole purpose. I understand that some of you are supposed to just sit here and listen, but believe me, if I have learned something from leaders, it is from these discussions and interactions like this. It really helps because everybody who will be here has grown. Grown means they have had some learning which they have used to be able to in different positions where they are also leaders today. And there are so many times when I'll just pick up a phone and call up somebody from the same industry or from some other industry and ask, hey look, I'm kind of dealing with this and I'm not being able to crack it, and what are you doing in that? So I'm one of those millennials
who have been a topic of discussion for the longest time. Now it's Gen Z, so I'm like really satisfied. So, now millennials are the more responsible people, from that whole cracking the code thing. And now Gen Z is the complex one. And what I've realized over the time is, we will keep evolving. There will be another generation that will come in. Any generation that comes in at that point of time, especially in their 20s, will have less, like everybody said, the humility of a leader to be able to accept that there will be multi-generational people under you, and there will be some value that everybody is going to add. I think a lot of my Gen Z team members have added so much value to me because they have been those curious people. In a lot of, so I remember one instance where we wanted to do a LinkedIn post on something, and there was, some design that I selected. But then I had a thought that, this is going to the Gen Z, so let me just check what they want. And there were like these 5-6 pictures that were shown to the Gen Zs, and they picked up something which basically looked like a 70s model. And like, this is like primitive, who cares about that? And I chose something which is more colorful and more vibrant and all of that. But the fact is that 70s design worked for the Gen Zs. If it works for the Gen Zs, I have to post that because I'm trying to attract those Gen Zs. So I think that's where I will say that you also need to have this humility, this understanding that every generation, every set of people, and it's not about generation, it's more about the age group you're in, the experience you have, the family that you have. When I'm just a bachelor, earning a lot of money, my parents are still working, I am at a different life space. And it has got nothing to do with millennials or Gen Zs or alphas or whatever. When you also grow up, when you get into your 30s, you'll feel that the next generation of 20s are a little careless. And that will keep on happening. But they also are a very curious lot. They are also a very agile lot. They will bring in those nuances that you will not be able to bring in because you've kind of grown, and we talk about out of the box thinking, right? But end of the day, there is a steadiness that's also there, that there is also a routine that we get into, and that's where you have to have that humility of bringing in fresh minds, having the humility that you have to listen to them, and that's where the growth is. And what is the difference that you're going to make? One is, of course, you have experience, which means what is going to fit into what, whether some idea is going to work or not, and how to make that idea work is where you come in. That vision is where you come in. And that continuous learning from people is where you come in. I think one of the things which is extremely difficult, but what I've learned over the years is, you have to be the last person speaking when you're chairing a meeting. If you don't let people give their opinion, you cannot have a conclusion of things. A meeting is not about being monosyllabic and you keep on talking and you keep on throwing your ideas. If you learn to imbibe those ideas, that's where your growth comes in. And if you grow, your team grows, and if you let your team grow, you grow. So, as long as we have that understanding, that gives you enough agility to be able to move up the ranks. Yep. Thank you so much.
Understanding of what should be the corporate culture, how should my behavior be. But the safest thing that works is pretend to be dead, behave like a cockroach, when your time comes, fly.
Thank you so much, Ms. Arpita, for adding your points to it. Now, okay, so means anyone, yeah, please sir.
So I'll give an example. Two things that I mentioned. In fact, leadership has to start from self-leadership. So therefore, across the, in some sense, the value chain, what are the things that you want a person to necessarily build is what we focus on. So like I mentioned about at the level of self, I talked about psychological capital. We focus heavily on building psychological capital, which is essentially around, you can look at things from two lenses. So one is structure or agency. So many times what we have also experienced is structure takes over for a lot of people, where you feel in that situation you feel hopeless or helpless, where you feel that environment has a disproportionate impact on you. Therefore, our endeavor, at least when you join us, is on building the agency part, which is to say that given the environment, given the structure, given everything, what is it that you can do? So therefore, can you be more resilient? Can you be more optimistic? Can you be more hopeful? And can you actually believe in yourself in terms of your own self-efficacy? So the heavy focus is on building psychological capital. So once you do that, at the second level, it is about when you become, say, a leader and when you have a team reporting to you. The second thing which I mentioned about is psychological safety. So therefore, and psychological safety doesn't mean, many times people feel that psychological safety is not about
of a CEO. Because I'm also a coach to some of the senior leaders in this corporate space. You know, so I asked him this question, what Madam Jaiswal just spoke about. He said, what is it that, we were having a conversation and I asked him that, what is it that has helped you evolve to wherever you are today? And he's a great leader. You know what he said is, you know, when I joined the organization, when I became a manager, then my need, the resources that I needed, the equitable space that I needed, the definition was different. Now that I'm a CEO, I have a very, very different need. I said, what is it that is standing out as a need? My mental stability. He said, my mental stability. More and more you grow up the ladder, the more and more you start getting into the strategic space where you're taking strategic decision which is impacting the growth, the top line, bottom line of the organization. That is where you need to fix your mental space. I'm a psychotherapist. I know how challenging it is when people come to me and they express their desire to be happy, the desire to stay at a state where they will feel elated, the desire to stay at a space there where they want to feel the social the social acceptance, the desire to be at a space where they want to have the professional acceptance. You know, one question stands out when I remember, Gallup is an engagement, also an employee engagement survey company. You know what Gallup used to ask in the 12 questions that they always put across to different companies, and after that Aon came up with various other questions as the employee engagement survey, but this Gallup stood out in one question out of the 12 questions. Do I have a friend at work? Most people at the senior level leadership are very alone. They are very alone because people would scare to share their thoughts with them, feeling that these guys would victimize them, or probably, I would not use the word vandalize, victimize them.
And its influence. We can see Gen Zs are losing on creativity and independent thinking. So how you see this growing in future, them as future leaders, and how can we solve this problem?
So I keep giving this example that span of time, because you will grow your business, is where utilizing wheels come in, right? Similarly, you know, be it AI, be it any other function, you know, you will also say that, and the more and more time we give to thinking, the more and more time, you know, we end up giving to people when it comes to one-on-one interactions, when it comes to quality interactions, that's where the transaction will die down. So you have to use.
But you know what is the quality of work? I'll tell you why. I'm a PhD fellow. Okay, and I've just started, it's just been about 2 months. You know, the interesting thing is, the professor has
relevant skills keep changing, because I feel that's also very necessary for organizational commitment, which is also fading as the newer generation gets into the workforce.
I think you know, it's a very great example. You used a lot of jargon skills.
To be adapted to the relevant skills as they change. As technology comes in today, even the skills that are demanded of the newer workers is changing very rapidly. So how is that being adapted for in the job roles which are eventually coming up, so that the people who come in are actually also committed to the organization long term?
So I asked you to ask the question again, is what I'm kind of trying to summarize. It has to be very simple. Anything you need to understand it. And it has to be that simple. As long as it is simpler, it is better. but I'll let the other panelists to answer the question.
May I know your name again, please?
Mayank.
Which of competencies which they feel that this candidate or the talent would be trainable enough for our organization to train. Because if you have in toto coming to the organization, I am telling you, if you hiring me and what you feel that whenever it fits in, you take me.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your survival, your kind of growing in the organization comes in.
Learning something new and learning something different. So for say young professionals like us, what do you suggest? How can we handle the pressure of learning something new also, but also developing an in-depth understanding of a particular domain? How to maintain a balance between the two.
Why are you under pressure?
not that, but like
I'll tell you something. Never only left and right. If they are beautiful in drum or strings, you also need to do that. Maybe you are very good at vocal, right? Maybe you are a good singer. जरूरी नहीं है कि आपको acquire करना है तो. That's my thinking.
And especially, Ramit rightly said, I'm not going to retire from the same organization. It means you're going to go into different organizations, right? So, being friends with them, you have a lot of time in your hand, which you won't have, believe me, once you, get married, get into a family, because there will be a lot of that time that you need to give to your other priorities, and make managers dependent on you because you are probably doing half or more than half of their work. Do all of that. Take that pressure. It is okay. And when you take that pressure, you will be able to take a pressure like Maruti later on. So
facing a very typical situation, right? In the workplace. It's not about my colleagues or the administrative staff. There is an owl syndrome and sleepwalking settling in. Right. I hope दिन में क्लास में अच्छे से देखते हैं, but I don't know whether you are understanding what I say or not. And they manage it with the water bottle kind of a game. So every table will have water bottle. A person will be looking at me, and then immediately gulp a glass of water, and after that he will be looking at me. Now, when you are, my question, there are two questions. Number one. When they come to your organization, do they behave like this? That is one. Number two, the effectiveness of it. Because see, they were asking about the skills and how do I get to ask you.
Thank you. I have to be very, very carefully answering the professors because they want to evaluate me in my PhD. No, bhaiya, so jaiye. If that happens, owl syndrome is gone. The second is on a lighter note. Start working in the night. But on a serious note, if I go back to my story of
From traditional models to a future where work is meaningful. Ms. Parija has been a dynamic people leader with over 2 decades of experience driving transformation across global technology and GCC organizations.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here. And I particularly thank Mr. Banerjee, IIFT leadership, for inviting me for this session. You may have to excuse me that I may be using my phone sometimes in between because I was only told on Friday, so I haven't had much of time to prepare. But this topic is close to heart, so I don't think it'll take too much of too much in terms of being not able to talk about it. One thing which you will say that I don't know how your professors, and in fact, one of the professors did mention it. How do they manage to keep all of you engaged in class? I think that's the biggest challenge that we all have, right? We all are facing this as well. So he did ask us this question as to how to. So now the water has changed to coffee, by the way, sir. So it does change. They do come out of their desks, but
in our classroom we don't allow coffee.
Coffee. So when they come to workplaces, then they change it to coffee. So then the coffee machine becomes their new best friend, and when they come to into the workplace. Thank you, because it's very difficult for me to stand at one place and talk. So I think with that I'll kind of talk about a few things. Saying that let's try to picture this 2020. Okay, this decides not to work, I guess. So let's see. So Gen Zs, anybody who's born between 1996 to 2010, 2012, that's about what the Gen Z is. We were the generation before that. You were digital natives. Basically, what does that mean? That you were raised by millennials. You were raised by people who have seen climate anxiety. They have seen uncertainty in terms of the world. They've talked about social justice. So we are talking about those people, those parents that have raised the Gen Z, and they're the most diverse generation, by the way, in the human history. Zen Alpha, he also gave us a reason why he was rejecting that offer, and he said no to that offer. It was only because of alignment. So he believed that, what the company is aligned towards, the culture, the working, he did not think he was aligned towards that culture. And that's what made him make a decision about it, saying that this is not the place that I want to see myself in. And hence, employees are expecting adaptation. Yeah. So for decades, as HR managers, as HR leaders, business leaders, most of us thought that employees will adapt themselves to the organization. Gone are those days. It's about how we will adapt to the employees, to the generation that we are trying to hire. So it's very important to understand, will this company adapt to me, is what I'm looking for from my career or from my future goals that I have in place. So that is what is talking about. And then when we say that, when you look at this fact that I said 40% will move out in 2 years' time, it's not because there's no loyalty. And this is something as HR leaders we need to be very, very aware of. Because I remember when we heard about the Great Resignation at that point of during the last panel discussion. So when we came out of Great Resignation, and it was just after COVID when this had happened, I remember having this conversation. If a candidate stays with us, if an employee stays with us for 2 years, that's good enough. It was a paradigm shift from what I'm going to spend some time to talk about a few pillars of the new HR playbook. That's easy enough to understand, not too jargony. That's how I've tried to keep it. Purpose over paycheck. I think I just mentioned in my previous example, right? So why is it important for organizations to show that purpose for employees? So when we talk about purpose, what does my work contribute to the world? Do I really contribute to just the bottom line, or is there some difference that I'm making to the world that I'm being part of? Yeah. Do I belong here, not just as an employee, but as a human being? This is a very deep question that people are asking. And I have been sitting in interviews, I hear this question coming across to us. So if they don't feel that sense of belongingness, as a person, we are not talking about what skill set you bring to the table. We are not talking about, what value add you bring to the table. That will all come along with it. but as a person, what is it that you're bringing on? They're going to impact the society at large, the world around them, as well as adding value to themselves. That's what is important for them. So I'll tell you, I think last week or so. So I sent an email to one of my team members, and this was about a project that we wanted to do. And so we had been brainstorming and things like that. So I kind of put out widespread project report and saying that, okay, this is the problem statement, this is what you are expecting out of it and things like that. And it must have been a good 300, 400 word email, by the way. A very lengthy email, you can think about it, yeah, 300, 400 words. And all I got, and then I realized that after almost like half a day had gone by, that I realized I had not received a response on that email of mine, that long email. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't know where the email went, whether the person even read it or not, or it disappeared into his black box. Then I go back to check, he had sent a thumbs up sign on it. That is all that was there, by the way. Which meant that the person had read the email and had agreed to whatever was to be done, but that is all that the response was. Yeah, so that is what we're talking about when we say done as part of the project. So that is what it is. The communication is evolving. Yeah. So communication is not the same. If I was sent an email when I was probably at that point of time, I would have probably, framed out a big lengthy response as to how we should be doing it, what the project plan is, what is my timelines. It doesn't need all of that. So as HR leaders, it is important that we understand that and evolve along with it. The other thing which we have all seen, I think COVID has made it much more visible now, is about flexibility. Yeah, we know that as organization there is a certain struggle most organizations are going through, including ours as well, in terms of where do we draw a balance between work from home and work from office. There is a certain amount of value that we do add to the fact that when you work from office, then you collaborate, you brainstorm together, you put your ideas together and then come up with a better solution. That is, of course, happens there, but that does not mean that it has to be work from office all the time. If you see, the most organizations are now trying to do that balancing act of where do we do it. Is it, whether it is called the hybrid mode, whether it is called the flexibility that we give out, whatever be that system, it is about how do we draw that. This is part of life. I can't think of work life any other way. Yeah. And the results only work environment. This could be debated. The ROWE, that's the new terminology, which means the result-oriented work environment. Does it matter? Like, I think we had this conversation, we were having it while during the break time, talking about the fact that some of you stay awake maybe 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock until the night, and you still, manage to come to work and really deliver your best. You're able to, because you have that energy, yeah? So, that is the kind of levels that you're working at. And what does that mean? That work can be from anywhere, but so long as the work is getting delivered. That's what is mattering, yeah? So at the end of the day, the companies will have to evolve, have to make their policies such that we are able to, take into account what Gen Alpha wants, what Gen Z wants, and that's how the policies will have to be reframed. Policies cannot be that they were made some 50 years ago and that's what we continue to do. They have to continue to evolve. Like when I'm talking managers, people who you may be reporting to or supervisors that you will be working with, maybe they are the people whom we need to train better to be able to have these conversations with you. Yeah. So mental health, it could mean that maybe there are normalizing the mental health days. Previously, as they said, previous panel was again talking about it, and I think they mentioned about the fact that Agra bhej do, udhar bhej do, we would not talk about it, but we have now, organizations have what is called the Employment Assistance Programs, which is EAPs, which means that it is okay to go and talk about it. Yeah, I think I was having a conversation with Anisha a little while back, saying that maybe there'll be days when I want to take a sabbatical because I need it, not because I have a reason for taking it. Yeah, it could be as simple as the fact that I need my time, and that's the reason I need to take a few days off, maybe a month off, depends on what my daughter was talking to me about. But the Gen Alpha has not seen that time, by the way. They don't know the time when the TV program would be running and they know that they can just pause it and then come back to it maybe 30 minutes later. But Gen Z has seen that evolve. So your learning, which is what you do as part of your organizations, have to be reimagined. So that's something which I call as one of the pillars for HR playbook. Yeah, they have to be made out in a method. Maybe Netflix is the way. That's what you understand best. Maybe in bite-sized modes. We have, there were times when we used to do orientations like 3 days, 5 days a week, 5 days in a week that we used to do orientation programs. Now we have come down to, we first came down to, back used to be a one-way traffic when we started, at least. I'm talking about maybe 20 years ago. It went on to become a two-way traffic, but it was still a very formal affair. In the sense that you sit down in a room, you kind of get prepared for a feedback session and then do it. Now it's feedback on the go. You can't have, you can't decide, okay fine, I'm going to sit down here and give a feedback, and it has to be two-way traffic. When we sit down, like when I sit down with my team, and my team has comprised of, some of your people, some of people from your generation as well, I say I am willing to and ready to listen to feedback, and that's what even the person has to be ready to take the feedback in, yeah, but it has to be a two-way process. Yeah, so I'll tell you a first small story here, saying that I think it happened some time back, and there was this fresher in one of our meetings, one of the business one of the freshers from out of an engineering college, and so we were talking about certain thing, and then I think we said the chair of the meeting said, okay, let's circle back, and then. When we were, when we had the break, this person walks up to us, me and the business leader were standing together. He says, when you say let's circle back, it almost sounds like a stalling mechanism. Why can't you just tell us why can't we just decide in the room, okay, this is what the next steps are, and just go on and do it. We need action to be done. Why do you want to circle back on the same thing? You've done a meeting, you've decided what needs to be done, just get it done. That's about what the action is. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about feedback, and it was nice to hear that feedback, honestly. So when I talk about that example, there are two things that I'm talking about. It's a two-way traffic, feedback, and it's a reverse mentoring. Anybody watch the movie Intern? The Intern? Yeah, I'm sure lots of you. Anybody who can tell me what was some of the takeaways from that movie? Maybe one or two. Anyone? Yes.
So like when he told Anne Hathaway that that was the office where he worked for 40 years. So Anne Hathaway was shocked that he worked in the same company for 40 years, and we are like people these days that are changing their companies in 2 to 3 years. Then of course there was generational gap, so some level of maturity, how to handle different emotions are also different in the current generation versus that in the Robert De Niro's generation. So
wonderful. Thank you so much for putting that out. Any thoughts maybe? I want a little bit of more participation, so it will help us to understand if all of you are still in the room.
So I believe that DEY, while it is based upon gender and other aspects, which we generally have been, the society has been implementing it should be more about even ideas as well. So for example, some people are more open-minded, and some people are, for example, are more rigid. Some people are conservative and some people are liberal. Not in terms of just political sense as well. In terms of the working culture in which they are. Some people like to do work silently, some people like to post about it. Some people are entertaining, some people do their work just go off in the own way. Both of them work. As a developer myself in Japan, both of them you need that combination of it, except that the companies don't look into that. They, at least from what I know, at least in the prior context of which I work, their organization uses just different race, different cultures, and different the gender and that parity which they are trying to implement. But I believe these intangible aspects, which I don't know, you can get to psychometric test, I don't know what to work, but if you are able to get that, that is something I would say is actual diversity of a human being.
Absolutely, thank you so much. That is the ask from all of you, saying that it has to be a way of life. Looking at diverse hiring panels, understanding how our job descriptions are written. How is it written in a manner which sounds inclusive to everyone on the ground, yeah? That is what we are talking about, and that's what we have heard from Gen Z, saying that people who are coming and working with us, and what is the expectation from all of you. That is the reason why we went through this change. I think I mentioned this, saying that, when you're changing jobs, what we used to call as job hoppers are not job hoppers, but experience collectors. And this word was not mine, by the way. I got it from one of the exit interviews that I was doing for one of our fresh candidates, and he gave me this sentence, saying that when I'm moving a job, I'm actually looking at a different kind of experience. I have enjoyed it here. I've enjoyed my time here for 2 years that I've worked here. I've learned quite a bit. I came out of college fresh, not having enough information, not having enough knowledge as to how I can make myself useful. But I've learned that, I have understood that. But now it's time for me to look at a different experience. And why not? And as organizations, we will say all the best. And his statement, and her statement was that maybe in 2 years' time, maybe in 4 years' time, I may want to come back to this place again. Because I love this place. The values aligned with me, the kind of work that is being done is aligned to me. It's just I want to have a different kind of a feeling at this point of time. I think that's what we call it as experience collectors. And when you're collecting experiences, when you're making, being part of new organizations and having new experiences, you're also growing. You're adding value to yourself. Isn't that what you need at the end of the day? So, when you talk about onboarding these days, there are many companies which start onboarding not when you start with the company. They started almost like 3 months before. There are organizations which are doing gamification of their onboarding. So again, I'll take a step back and talk about a time when, maybe I was like 7 years, 8 years into my work experience. Email ID creation used to take like 6 to 9 days. Imagine so in this process, what I say, the career path has been reimagined. I think we heard it in the last panel also. It's not linear career paths anymore. It's not just about upward movement also. It's a combination. You could be doing, like today what we are talking about, the fact that AI is going to take away our jobs. Is it going to take away all our jobs? It's probably going to remove some of the jobs. But then it's going to augment the rest of the jobs, right? If you are not there to give it the prompt, then what is it going to do at the end of the day? So it will remove maybe the mundane jobs, maybe the admin jobs. That was not needed by an individual person. But that particular person will go on to do something more value added by the help of this AI that we are having. So that is why we call it that the career paths have to be reimagined, have to be, understood in the context in which you are coming out. So by the time you pass out, maybe in the next year, 2026, 27, it will be a different world in some form or the other. But you have to be adaptable. You have to keep yourself agile and adaptable to be able to make your mark in this world, in that workplace. Yeah. Now, how do we make sure that we are getting ready for Zen Alpha? I think you'll have to get ready for the Zen Alpha more than us, because soon enough, I think they are going to be hitting the workplaces. Yeah. There are good and bad of it, of course. I am standing on this one, and I'm not going to say that it's all rosy. There are times that we wish there's a little more, passion on that part. But having said that, I think we are all also evolving along with it. So that's the important part of it. So as HR leaders, HR practitioners who are in this room, when we sit down, we need to make sure that we're listening, we're piloting, and we're scaling and evolving in the process. That will be the mantra to making sure that we change, and we change the workplaces to make sure that we make it a better place for you to come. Yeah. So I think as my closing reflection, and I would say that it's a different world. It's not I'll not use any other word, but I'll just say it's a different world. Each one of us, when we were coming out, we also had we had our set of predicaments. Yeah, so it was not that it has always been a very rosy world and suddenly the world has become very different. It always comes with its own.
Okay, quick questions. You started with Gen Z and all the adaptability thing regarding that. So often we see that nowadays hiring process is AI assisted. Tasks like resume, shortlisting, assessment tests, these are AI assisted, and often these AI models are fed with historical data. So there might be a generation gap between the data fed and the people we are going to hire. So how do the organizations take care if any kind of bias creeps in the model?
Okay, and that's what AI is going to be doing. Yes, it has historical data, but it also has a job description that we are feeding it in. And the job description is something that is an active document. It's not something which was built like 5 years ago and we are continuing data. So that's where we are trying to reduce the biases and remove it. And every company will have their own set of job description. It's not a one size fits all, like Amazon makes one and the entire world follows it. It doesn't work like that, right? Because my requirements is going to be very different from my Amazon, and Amazon's requirements is going to be very different from mine.
Evolution of company policies. So earlier Indian employees were told to build American skill sets. So in the recent light of the US restructuring, do you foresee any strategic redirection in global upskilling and programs? How are the companies reevaluating their internal policies?
I think it's, upskilling is here to stay. It's moving into manufacturing. So it is not about staying. So which means that upskilling and reskilling is going to be something which has to be part of it. And honestly, with all this restructuring or whatever news that you're hearing, it's not just a US problem. It is something which is hitting, ready to be upskilling yourself, you will lose the bus. Yeah, that's the key of it. Saying that, today you realize that you're probably sitting in a classroom and doing your learnings. Maybe alongside it, look at what other places that you can do your learning. Maybe YouTube. YouTube is a great place to have.
DEI initiatives have been facing a lot of backlash. Yeah. Companies have rolled back, but DEI is here to stay.
Yeah.
So how do you see it evolving in a post-truck world?
I think it's a great question. Immediate reaction from a lot of companies was saying that, about gender, if you remove it, saying that may the best person win. It doesn't have to be a male or a female, and we are not doing a favor to a female by saying that, okay, we are going to hire this person. It's a may the best person win.
Then a chance for redemption. So do you think that there are better ways that should be implemented when we look at shortlisting criteria?
Even through the entire session, we have been hearing that we need to learn, unlearn, and relearn. The cycle. Do you think that the change at which the AI is taking place, is advancing, do you think that the human capacity will match the pace in doing this cycle of learning, relearning, and unlearning?
Taking an example of ChatGPT, but I'm just saying ChatGPT is evolving because of what we are feeding it now. With the questions that we are asking, with the kind of data that they have access to and things like that. But at the end of the day, the data is coming out of us only.
Millennials, the Gen Zs and Alpha and whatnot. As an organization, we also will be subjected to all these things. But still we are with the baby boomers mindsets. Yeah. Right? Because we are subjected to a lot of policies and other things. So what is your suggestion? What do we do? Because suppose if I am going to follow those kind of processes and all, and I am still going to insist on that, to suggestion for the educational institution like this, how do we adapt? Because still, like this girl was asking about the CGPA and those things. Right? I'm worried because I do understand that there is a need.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, good evening everyone. I am Bunty Banerjee, part of CRC team. It is truly an honor and privilege to deliver the vote of thanks on behalf of IIFT. My sincere thanks to all the eminent panelists and speakers who shared their valuable insight throughout the day.